Okay, so I guess I'm gonna read this as we move forward here. That last one wasn't bad. I mean, we tried to do some different stuff. I'm laying down some playlists in private here. I don't, dude. The website. I even thought about the website. It's like, it is definitely that good. We're definitely not dazed and confused. There's damage. Damage was done here. But anyway, we're gonna read this, Sir Lafayette. This is a great song, and continue with our videos and such. I know you mentioned earlier not to do any more public videos without being paid some kind of money. Also, you mentioned people being attacked and other things. I think that's what you're pointing out, maybe. Don't help these people unless they're gonna pay you. But anyway, here we are. It's still pretty early. As they shock my nipple and do this and that. It's awkward. They have to be down underground. You made a mistake. There he goes. We're still rolling pretty good here. Quite a bit, really. We definitely went the right route with the baka cake for my birthday. So we'll start off, because I always forget. Psalm 106. Yep. Because I always forget here. Excuse me, in my Walmart shirt. My PJs. Psalm 106. Praise ye the Lord. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Who can utter the mighty acts of the Lord? Who can shew forth all his praise? Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. Remember me, O Lord, with a favor, that thou bearest unto thy people. O visit me with thy salvation, that I may see the good of thy chosen, that I may rejoice in the gladness of thy nation, that I may glory with thine inheritance. We have sinned with our fathers, we have committed iniquity, we have done wickedly. Our fathers understood not thy wonders in Egypt. They remembered not the multitude of thy mercies, but provoked him at the sea, even at the Red Sea. Talking about my pressure washer. They don't know how to make it. Nevertheless, he saved them for his name's sake, that he might make his mighty power to be known. He rebuked the Red Sea also, and it was dried up, so he led them through the depths as through the wilderness. And he saved them from the hand of him that hated them, and redeemed them from the hand of the enemy. And the waters covered their enemies, there was not one of them left. Dude, I could build a robot if it really came down to it. If I needed to. If it was like a classroom at this point, I could do it. But I don't want to do it. There's no need. A computer, like, you have the automated... Dude. I've seen workers in China building computers, and it was not pretty. I'm sure there's a, like, factory where it's like an automated system as far as factory and mass production goes. She didn't look happy though. I didn't like that. That's what we're talking about, the inventions. Then believed they his words, they sang his praise. They soon forgat his works, they waited not for his counsel. But lusted exceedingly in the wilderness, and tempted God in the desert. And he gave them their request, but sent leanness unto their soul. They envied Moses also in the camp, and Aaron the saint of the Lord. The earth opened and swallowed up Dathan, and covered up the company of Abiram. And a fire was kindled in their company, the flame burned up the wicked. They made a calf in Horeb, and worshipped the molten image. Thus they changed their glory into the similitude of an ox that eateth grass. They forgot God, their Savior, which had gone great things in Egypt, wonders worked in the land of Ham, and terrible things by the Red Sea. Therefore he said that he would destroy them. Had not Moses his chosen stood before him in the breach to turn away his wrath, lest he should destroy them, the washing machine? Yet they despised the pleasant land, they believed not his word. You're getting like different metals, like going but murmured in their tents, and hearkened not unto the voice of the Lord. Therefore he lifted up his hand against them, to overthrow them in the wilderness, to overthrow their seed also among the nations, and to scatter them in the lands. They joined themselves also unto Belapure, and ate the sacrifices of the dead. Thus they provoked him to anger with their inventions, and they plague breaking upon them. Then stood up Phinehas, and executed judgment, and so the plague was stayed. And that was counted on him for righteousness unto all generations for evermore. They angered him also at the waters of strife, so that it went ill with Moses for their sakes. Because they provoked his spirit, so that he spake unadvisedly with his lips, they did not destroy the nations concerning whom the Lord commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen, and learned their works. And they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and their daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, from whom they sacrificed unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Thus were they defiled with their own works, and went a-whoring with their own inventions. Therefore was the wrath of the Lord kindled against the people, insomuch that he abhorred his own inheritance. And he gave them into the hand of the heathen, and they that hated them ruled over them. Their enemies also oppressed them, and they were brought into subjection under their hand. Many times did he deliver them, but they provoked him with their counsel, and were brought low for their iniquity. Nevertheless he regarded their affliction when he heard their cry. And he remembered for them his covenant, and repented according to the multitude of his mercies. He made them also to be a pitied of all those that carried them captives. Save us, O Lord our God, and gather us from among the heathen, to give thanks unto thy holy name, and to triumph in the praise. Blessed be the Lord God of Israel from everlasting to everlasting. Let all the people say, Amen, praise ye the Lord. All right. That was Psalms 106. I guess I still needed to do that thing for my car.
When does your phone up service up?
No, my car.
What thing? Yeah, you gotta do it. Yeah.
Okay.
They charge you double if you don't have it done in time.
When's it? When?
Well, you read on the card and see. I think it's March 1st.
Okay. Where's it at?
Look here.
Okay. To Thomas Nelson, Tyrese Plantation, 1st July, 1781. I ate those nuts pretty quick. My dear sir, I had yesterday the pleasure to see Major Callis, and am happy to find you have established a chain of expresses between this camp and the seat of government. I hope my several letters advising you of the enemy's retreat from Richmond, their arrival at Williamsburg, and a very clever skirmish that took place some days ago have been safely transmitted. Should the seat of government be transferred to Richmond, our correspondence will be easier and public service much benefited. But at the utmost care to avoid infected grounds, we have hitherto got clear of the smallpox. I wish the harvest time might be as easily got over, but there is not keeping the militia into the field. The 3 brigades are so amazingly reduced that so have them of a tolerable strength I have been obliged to put them into 2. They are commanded by Generals Stevens and Lawson, whom I have requested to have returns made by counties and to forward them to your Excellency. Many and many men are daily deserting, but it is next to impossibility to take them in their flight through the woods. I know vaguely, like, I get the general picture. As far as the math, like, I don't care, you know? I understand it. The other day, a captain of horse was sent after a captain of foot, my street smart, whom he could never get hold of. It's like natural, I don't know. They have no reason to complain. They cannot even contrive any, but say they were only engaged for 6 weeks, and the harvest time recalls them home. On the other hand, the times of a great number are daily expiring, no relief comes to them, and you might as well stop the flood tide as to stop militia whose times are out. The riflemen are also determined to go and take care of their harvest, so that I shall soon be left with the Continentals. Under these circumstances, it would perhaps be better to go and fight Lord Cornwallis, but exclusive of my daily expectation of General Morgan, however disappointed I may have been as to his strength, exclusive of diminution of force I have already experienced, I confidentially will confess with you that I am terrified at the consequences of a general defeat. You are not stranger to the political state of Europe. Everything bears for the present a tolerable face. New York threatened, Carolina reconquered, Lord Cornwallis pushed into Williamsburg after a long retreat. Such as the situation of affairs in America that may be laid before mediators. But should we be beat, and should the loss of Virginia follow defeat, new obstacles will be raised against American independency. In order of the county lieutenants throughout the state immediately to send to the army every 6 months soldier and a call of militia to come immediately into the field are steps of an absolute necessity. I think, my dear sir, severe examples ought to be made of county lieutenants who neglect to send either the 6 months soldiers of their quotas of militia, unless a large number is immediately joined to us. We must measure back the ground we have obtained over his lordship. That is unfortunate. Yeah, 2 militia brigades of 1,600 each in 4 regiments, so as to have 1,200 fit for duty, and a rifle brigade of the same number ought always to be kept into the field. It would be 4,400 upon paper and 3,600 effectives. This I would propose to be exclusive of the 6-month men, the totality of whom ought to be immediately sent and put under continental officers. Besides this number to be with the army, the counties north of Rappahannock, the counties near Portsmouth ought to be disdained, the ones to the fence of the Neck and Fredericksburg, the others to have a permanent force of about 1,000 men blockading Portsmouth and preventing detachments from that place. Gloucester County had better be kept for its own defense. I have sent them 200 stand of arms. Should it be possible to raise 2 corps of volunteer dragoons of 120, each divided into 2 troops of 60, mounted upon their own horses, regularly embodied under proper officers, and as accoutrements cannot be procured armed with spears, I think they might render service. But I wish their Excellency would make a proclamation declaring that every volunteer horse who does not belong to a corps, the commander of which with my written orders is not only liable to militia duty, but also will be brought to an account for the forage and provisions he may get into the country. I beg leave to suggest to your the royalty fees. I beg leave to suggest to your Excellency the propriety of raising a corps of 150 Negro pioneers to march with the army, and also a corps of 100 Negro wagoners. They might be easily got and would afford great services. Baron de Steuben is gone for some days to Charlottesville. I have requested him to give his assistance to the recruiting of our cavalry. There must be a great quantity of accoutrements in the country. By a letter from the Board of War, I find that 100 saddles, 100 sword, 100 pairs of pistols may be soon expected at Leesburg, supposing that the same number be got in the country, as we must certainly have collected more than 200 horses. You see that the 50 old dragoons that might be gathered in this state, and 150 new levies we should mount accompanied with 50 fresh horses for the Continental Dragoons we now have may at once give us 300 horses, supposing 200 volunteer gentlemen, for they ought to be men of fortune and well mounted to be immediately embodied and called into the field. Your Excellency will see that there may be a prospect of becoming superior to the enemy's cavalry, but it requires great diligence, and I entreat your Excellency particular aid on that so very important point. Every horse that comes to camp I send up either to Charlottesville or Richmond, there to be subject to your orders. Empresses I beg leave to consider as a civil matter, and will receive such a number of horses from the executive as have been collected by their authority. Colonel Call is going up for that same affair, and to him I beg leave to refer your Excellency. I have always the same complaints to make against the commissary department. A letter from you to them threatening the severest punishments in case the army is left in the least when may have a great effect. I wish you would write them. I have been requested to have those punishments inflicted the first hour the army wants any kind of provisions. However, these past days we have done rather better. There should be some arrangement made concerning wagons. At least every county ought immediately to send in tax wagon. Then powers might be lodged with the commissary general to apply to the county lieutenant for so many wagons as are necessary to the communication between his stores and camp, with men to drive and men to keep a guard. Permit me, my dear sir, once more to insist upon an immediate call of militia. Both brigades are not quite so large as Muhlenberg's brigade has been, and still less are fit for duty. Fevers begin to spread. I have taken the liberty to call for a third of the militia of some adjacent counties. Should you disapprove of it, we can countermand. If not, I request you will enforce my letter. A paragraph from the executive denouncing the severest punishment to civil officers who do not immediately apprehend deserters, and ascertaining if the militia are to wait for the release is of an immediate necessity, for they are all going away. Shoes for the light infantry and rum are two articles upon which I entreat your good offices. Most respectfully yours, Lafayette. Lieutenant Verdier of Armand's corps, an excellent officer, has been taken while in the execution of an important commission from the Baron. I promised him his horse, a very valuable one, should be replaced, and beg leave to request he may have a choice in the impressed horses. I'm just going to shut my mouth. I think they just don't believe, I think is what it is. I mean, here you are, the plantation here. I was at Prescott with the bananas. I knew a Preston. Okay. To Nathaniel Green. Camp 20 miles from Williamsburg, 4th July, 1781. I know what. My dear General, here is once more a safe opportunity to write, which I am happy to embrace, and will enclose a public letter of mine wherein you will find an account of his lordship's retrograde movements. Your desire was that I should hold my ground in this state. We were happy enough as to recover every part of ground, but what is under an immediate protection of shipping. Our numbers are very small, but our movements are offensive, and we appear eager for action. We never encamp in a body, and our numbers are much exaggerated. What has been lost at the Point of Fork is in great measure recovered. Little will be lost, including the Baron's popularity in Virginia. The Assembly have resolved that I should be requested to order an inquiry into the conduct of the officers at the Point of Fork, but I have enough to do to inquire into Lord Cornwallis's intention, and will have the honor of referring the Assembly to superior authority. That Lord Cornwallis meant to go to Fredericksburg as a certainty, the more certain as we have intercepted a letter from the captain of a vessel to his lordship, wherein he says he was sent into Rappahannock from Portsmouth on purpose to establish the correspondence. That Lord Cornwallis knew we should follow him, and of course he could hope for an action is clearly proved by Tarleton's letter. So that his Virginia campaign will not do much in favor of his cause abroad. Had we beat him, we might have acquired more honor, but had we been completely beat, this state was lost and your expeditions interrupted. No? The light in again, the tool here. So this tool that I have, the ship right here, I just pretty much explained it. And then some. I have my own tool here that we could definitely make. However, it's probably already been made with the generator that you're using with the electricity. So my ship here travels across space. He's pointing out that the country here owes me royalty fees. I don't know what to tell you. Come beat your ass. And I think he's pointed that out with the stand your ground laws that he's aware of. It's like definitely not. Like I don't. I think by no means are we trying to just uproot you, but there's definitely a debt owed, and like nothing's being done about it. And it's just like we could try to be nice, but we already know your response. You guys, I hear you, but I don't hear you. I think there's going to be a special case made here. Is what it is. As she sits there and cries, Army, I hear you. I'm right behind you now, loud and clear. Loud and clear. So if I recall, if you go through like King Tut and the Mask, I would have no doubt that somebody somewhere is doing the exact same thing they are. Connected to the electrical grid. As you sit there and cry like a baby. Yeah, that's unfortunate. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't know what to tell you. I can take a picture of this if you'd like. You want to see it? There's a big smiley face. You have no idea. Big bulging eyes. Again, I said she was like Helga. Real? I don't know what to tell you. Go through the details here. I really don't know what to tell you. Helena? We go through Ellen? Okay, so it's like everything's on video. I don't know what to say to you. Anything that he would know, like, I don't know. Very little has been said. I don't talk to the bro. You know what I mean? You're talking about the camera guy, you know what I mean? The introduction. Here, let me introduce you to Undercover Boss here. Smith & Wesson. The threat. See, you don't even know. That's the thing. I didn't even think about that. Using him as a weapon, he's not even aware of it. You see? I don't even talk to him. Like, we don't have many conversations. I know video games. He's the big bro. Expeditions interrupted. That's the thing, though. Like, they were aware of it beforehand. So you can go ahead and say whatever you want. The light infantry is about 800. The Pennsylvania is not 700. The Virginia Continental is 400. The militia reduced amazingly, and so the harvest time is coming will vanish into nothing. Morgan was to come with 2,000 men. He is not arrived and will not bring more than 400. Our cavalry is always on the same footing, or to speak better, we have no cavalry. I have taken great pains to procure some expect in a few days 80 Maryland gentlemen, have some expectations of 60 from Moylan's dragoons and 40 of Nelson. Have ordered Colonel White and Major Call to collect accoutrements and shall mount a part of the new levies. But my prospects are distant, my losses instant, and danger very near at hand. I do, however, put on a good face. There is no detachment from the enemy, but what a detachment marches against them, and they generally retire. Children sing when they are afraid. The enemy are extremely cautious. Many as nights I have given myself the pleasure of having their army turned out. I have taken the best precautions I could for the security of my flanks, and for lookout parties upon the rivers. There is small corps in Gloucester County, and other about Portsmouth. By keeping the enemy in check, we prevent their making detachments and foraging on the other side of the rivers. I'm talking about the tools being used. Should the appearance we put on deter them from establishing a post anywhere but at Portsmouth, should your conquests and the combined expedition recall their operating army, my first object will be to know what route they take. At all events, I shall make it my business to afford you speedy support. There are some indications of an embarkation, not so many, however, is generally believed. A few days will explain the intentions of Lord Cornwallis. I wish we may again induce him to run from us, lest I should be obliged to run from him. By a letter from Colonel Parker, I hear General Gregory has been defeated, but no particles. Should this affect North Carolina, you may depend upon speedy intelligences, but I presume it is nothing but a skirmish. The French army is, I am assured, arrived in the eastward. So is the Alliance, and a 40-gun ship by my name, carrying clothing and supplies of every kind for us. But it is an age since I heard from that part of the world. As to you, my dear General, it is only by public report I hear Augusta is taken, and 96 in a fair way to make a paragraph. I heartily partake your glory. Your popularity is now to the highest pitch. You are the general everybody speaks of, and everyone prides in your maneuvers. Happy I shall be to have made a runaway diversion, provided you think I have maneuvered right. The paragraphing rage does often seize me, but since I am first in command, I become a great coward. Should I undertake the history of departments, there would be no end. The quartermaster wrote me he could do nothing, and again wrote me he could not even answer for my engagements, as there was no money. He is very clever, very zealous, but has no means, and of course is very cautious. The commissary department is headed by Mr. Brown, to whom I say every morning that he shall be hanged. The medical department has lately been in pretty good order. There is an immense waste of provisions, of ammunitions, of everything. I do what I can, but I cannot do I wish. In a word, my dear General, I manage matters for the best, try to correct abuses, get angry 5 or 6 times a day, and I hope you'll be satisfied at least with my good intentions. Dude, I don't know what to say to you. I'll shut my mouth. I have not as yet received the cartel from you, Lord Cornwallis, sent it to me, because there is none. I owe him the justice to say that his correspondence has been frank and polite. We have not received any prisoners from Charleston, but upon his requesting that 50 who were in the neighborhood of camp be sent to him, I the more readily agreed, as by the miscarriage of your directions we are not able to comply with the cartel in the first week of July, but I was the first who proposed an interview of commissaries, the first who made a delivery of prisoners, so that appearances will be in our favor. Maybe that was a test. I don't know. I said no, not everybody. And they already did some with, like, the state and stuff. They should have, anyway. Again, some of the stuff, the cartel, the prisoners in Charleston, that's right down the road. You want me to speak on this? I think Barack Obama, here I am, pulling an Obama. He went into the prison. I remember that. I remember things. Lafayette, the general here. Dude, you're violent. I think it's a lot of it. The drugs. A lot of it would be drugs. We thought about that. See, you're not wrong as, like, independency. But then it's like, okay, so take these drugs. This guy... Who do I use in this example? They do the drugs and they go shoot people up, you know what I mean? There they go. You hear the siren? You hear the siren right there? They do the drugs and then they go shoot their girlfriend. Is what they go do. Now, I say that. Before and after, it's still the same. There's a difference. You know, there's a difference in the animal. I don't know. I thought about it too, because you're not wrong. But at the same time, it's like nobody wants to see that. All the guys all tatted up. You're talking about the cartels? They're all tatted up and stuff. Nobody wants to see that. It's kind of like you guys. So, damn. From your perspective, you're dealing with the Indians and their tribal paint and stuff. All their trinkets and their inventions. Their guns and everybody. I did. You mentioned it, and I'm it's like, I don't know what to tell you. I have no argument other than, like, nobody wants to see it. It's like, it's evident it's bad, and it doesn't bring good. But then you start getting, I thought about it. You start getting into the food. I was like, I ate some pizza, and then my face broke out. And then I referred to To Kill a Mockingbird, and it's like, did this exist before the radio towers over here? Getting to the depth here. I did. I thought long and hard. It's like the independency. It's like, obviously, nobody wants to see that shit. So I'm at the stars with Mercury and, like, the speed of light. So then then you take that, because that's what the majority of it is. I'm just out of touch. Dude, it's been 10 years and I've just been enveloped in these books and the games and the stories. So I don't really know what's going on right now, as far as that goes, to be honest. So for you to comment and for me to comment, it's been a while. And I know Donald in his previous, he did the 10-year. He reduced it to 10 years. And it's been like 10 fucking years, dude. So I don't even know. Dude, I've been sitting here reading and learning. We're talking about history in the Bible, so... the rage. So the rage, you're definitely using a microphone. Without a shadow of a doubt. I'm pretty... Wherever this fucking ark is. So if you were to take like Auschwitz and the foundation and the building of it, fuck the people. Remove the people. Look at the buildings. So if you were to take the ark and put it in the buildings, it's a big microphone. You see each individual building amplifies it in a different way. And I promise you, in one of the buildings that I saw, I know for a fact that he was growing pot in that building. I promise you. Judging based off me, like father, like son, I promise you there was pot being grown in that building. Without a shadow of a doubt. So let's be clear here. Remove the people. not from a lawyer's perspective. No. That's you, dude. That's desperation. I don't want to hear that. So the rage, we've mentioned that. So you're definitely using a microphone. Dude, you're getting down to the cells. If you go to the logos for some of these subsidiaries of the government of today, they're getting into the atoms. That's literally the logo. It's a giant lab. Everybody's a lab rat. And they stand out, the ones that are involved. I'm not stupid. A lot of people are, but I'm not. I'm the founder of your country. I don't know what you're doing here. I don't know what plan that... It's like they are children. They're idealistic thinking. And the way that they're going about it. They're children. Don't know what to tell you. As I move on to Mercury here. The tools. We could definitely do that. But like I said, they've already been made. Especially if it's Earth. I just laid it out for you what that is. The clock. And if you look at it, it's it's the big... If you were to rewrite the Big Bang, but specifically for your solar system, you can see the layout of the planets. And you can see where the ship is pointed and how it was... The meteor, the line of light, you can see it. But anyway, that's like these tools here. By no means, you have done wrong. And not only that, it's like I said, children rebellion, the idealistic thinking. I'm laying it out for you. I don't know what like superstitions you have. I definitely think there's some science there. However, I think there were some missing factors at play here, and now that they're being brought to light, you look very foolish. And it is definitely not the route that I would take. As far as these cartel and the prisoners, like I said, I've done a lot of thinking. The independency there. If you're talking like hard drugs, they're in there like for 10, 15, 20 years for like cocaine and meth. The weed, I'm pretty sure they released the weed, which they never should have been there to begin with. As you can see me here. He basically pardoned all of Charleston. So no. Definitely some of them. I thought about it. So I think they're starting to get into like psychology and stuff. That I have not put a lot of thought. I have not put a lot of thought in it. I think a lot of the people, for like maybe theft or assault or something. I don't know. I don't know. I've never done the research. It's been so long. When I was growing up, it was drugs, you know. they're kind of shying away and giving them probation and kind of like giving them a second chance nowadays. You're bullshitting. I don't know what you're doing there at all. Again, dude. I'm like the Matrix here, dude. I'm like in the zone, going into the Tron and into the system. It's like, okay, what's this? What's really the problem here? Into the depths of the computer. So it's really hard for me to like pinpoint and tell you, which is what you're wanting. The 5th of July. That's a hard one. They are free, I think is what they're saying. Maybe you can see the future and I'm unaware. Maybe that's like a cry, like, hey. Some of the guys, though, they have the attitude, I think, is a lot of it. I don't know. I'm not a gang member. I wouldn't know. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I don't know the aspects here. Truly. Again, I have to deal with this plasma bitch on the eyeball. Jackson, Missouri, Cape Girardeau County. You've committed a serious crime with this plasma on the TV. And I am not letting it go. I have to deal with this officer and his bullshit. The bald one down on Bent Creek. He needs to be removed. Entirely fired out. That's the gang member, the cartel, the brown cow there. We need to get brown cow out. Real. That plasma down on Pac-Man. And I don't mean Tupac, I mean the game. And the moon. And the tower. And I'm really not kidding with you. Boiler room. So, that needs to be immediately done. Stripped of all privileges. Immediately. I'll know, dude. His eyes, I can tell. I'll know. He is definitely the one doing it. That little edge right here. You know, the corner? Right there? Real, I promise you're in deep shit. In this life and the next. I assure you. So you can... Cape Girardeau County, I'm not kidding with you. He can go turn in his badge and you can put him in cuffs. And he's using the device right now. Cape Girardeau County, you need to go down onto Bent Creek. Down by the golf course, down by the lake. Get that officer out of his home. And you need to go down to Sarah. And you need to get the officer out of his home. If you do not comply with me, I will kill you. I assure you, I will light your ass up. Do not test me on it. We know exactly who's doing it. Oh, the lungs. That is unfortunate with these girls as you remove the white horse down off that county road. So, Donald, we need to get inside their homes and get them out. Immediately. We know where they're at. Come on, get them out. Who's the mouth? Try to figure that one out. The cartel there. There they are. Those are the ones that need to be in jail. Oh, you got some fancy device, do you? Do you? Really? Where'd you get that from? Why do you have it? I'll know when it's off the light. I would be raiding them immediately. I don't know. If I promise you, if you don't, you will regret it. With the orders here, real paperwork. We got some tissue over here. You got the Bible. Let's go. Um, there they go. The Salem witches. Go ahead and get them out there with the voodoo dolls. What they're doing, Pac-Man. Real. I can feel it on the lungs right now. Headquarters to Charles Dabney headquarters. The 5th of July. Back to the prisoners. I haven't fully responded. I don't know what to say to you. Yeah. The 5th of July. Before I seal this, I must tell you that yesterday I received intelligence that Williamsburg is evacuated. Lord Cornwallis retired to Jamestown Island. It is said that the light infantry and 76th Regiment are going to New York with his lordship, who takes the chief command. The remainder is to stay at Portsmouth, but I fancy this last part of the intelligence is not right, and a good number of them must be destined to you. I have wrote Sumner that he was to join you with speed and shall immediately send the supply of arms that he wants. At all events, unless Portsmouth can be taken by a coup de main, I shall forward to you the Pennsylvanians, Virginia Continentals, and, if possible, some militia. Circumstances will direct me, but my heart and my duty will make your support the first business I shall attend to. Requesting my compliments to your family and my other friends, I have the honor to be, with the most sincere respect and affection, yours, Lafayette. I'll be taking that advice. How about that? To Charles Dabney. How do you know what a dab is? It's a little too much, dude. I'll be honest. It's a little too heavy. Make you stupid is what it is. The brain fried. More natural, I guess. I remember reading about it growing up. They were doing it out of like washing machines and stuff. They had to make hash. Some intricate device. Dude, for you to have known that. Some of this, I thought about it earlier. Some of these inventions, there's no way, like the cycles, I would have had to have read it somewhere. There's no way that you would have figured that out on your own, just by chance. Even experimenting, some of it's like, that's pretty questionable how you came up with that. You see where I'm coming from and where they're coming from? The cycles there that are like unexplainable. The supernatural. Well, a long time ago. No, dude, they were sitting there watching me. To Charles Dabney, headquarters, Allen's, 7th July, 1781. Sir, last evening there has been a severe skirmish between a detachment of 800 men and the British Army. Our loss has not been considerable in killed and almost none in prisoners, but greater in wounded, as you will remark. I request you to visit the wounded and remark if they are in want of anything and what care is taken of them. Tell the officers and men that 'tis my orders that every possible relief and refreshment be procured for them at any expense, and then I request them to make personal applications to me. Tomorrow morning, before day, such of the wounded as can be conveniently moved are to be sent to North Kent Courthouse. The surgeons must be sent there, and the wagons made ready. I request that you will pay a particular attention to this matter. You will be very alert tonight, and recommend the same to post upon your left. The wagon horses must be put to the wagons tonight, and everything in readiness to move at the shortest warning. Your brigade, in case of being attacked, must throw themselves into the wood defending the road, ordering the pack and wagons on in the rear. General Lawson is in your front, but you will send patrols on the left. You will move down tomorrow morning at 3 o'clock and relieve General Lawson, who will take post near Bird's Tavern. When at Drinking Spring, you will take measures for the safety of our left flank. I imagine the enemy have been so much crippled by the detachment who engaged them yesterday that I do not apprehend they will venture against our army. But we must guard against possibilities, and by fighting them in detail defeat their future projects. I have the honor to be your most obedient, humble servant, Lafayette. You're talking about down at the park. I claim that spot. At Drinking Spring, you're talking about Sitting Bull. They sat down and drank at that spring. They planted a tree down there. It's a bull tree. I'm talking, it stands out. You can probably go down there and find it. Honestly, it stands out that much. If you walk down the path, the trail, behind the tennis courts down at Jackson, there's a huge tree. It's a bull tree. I don't know what to call it, but that's what I call it. Sitting Bull. To Nathaniel Green, Ambler's Plantation opposite James Island, 8th July, 1781. Sir, on the 4th instance, the enemy evacuated Williamsburg, where some stores fell into our hands, and retired to the place under the cannon of their shipping. Next morning, we advanced to Bird's Tavern, and part of the army took post at Norris Mill, about 9 miles from the British camp. The 6th, I detached an advanced corps under General Wayne, with a view of reconnoitering the enemy's situation. Their light parties being drawn in, the piquets, which lay close to their encampment, were gallantly attacked by some riflemen, whose skill was employed to great effect. Having ascertained that Lieutenant Cornwallis had sent off baggage under a proper escort, and posted his army to an open field fortified by the shipping, I returned to the detachment, which I found more generally engaged. A piece of cannon had been attempted by the vanguard under Major Galvin, whose conduct deserves high applause. Upon this, the whole British army came out and advanced to the thin wood occupied by General Wayne. His corps, chiefly composed of Pennsylvanians, and some light infantry, did not exceed 800 men with 3 field pieces. But notwithstanding their numbers, at sight of the British army, the troops ran to the recounter. A short skirmish ensued with a close, warm, and well-directed fire, but as the enemy's right and left, of course, greatly outflanked ours, I sent General Wayne orders to retire half a mile to where Colonel Voss's and Colonel Barber's light infantry battalions had arrived by a rapid move, and where I ordered them to form. In this position they remained till some hours in the night. He's talking about Bullinger Mill. They had a battle there at the Bullinger Mill. That's what he's talking about. On the way to Piedmont. General Wayne, that's where my dad, I don't know him. That's my dad's family. And then you're talking about the mill. The Voss, the creek there would be the battle points. The militia under General Lawson had been advanced, and the Continentals were at Norrell's Mill. When the enemy retreated during the night to James Island, which they also evacuated, crossing over to the south side of the river, their ground at this place and the island were successfully occupied by General Muhlenberg. A number of valuable horses were left on their retreat. From every account, the enemy's loss had been very great, and much pains taken to conceal it. Their light infantry, the brigade of guards, and 2 British regiments formed the first line. The remainder of the army, the second, the cavalry, were drawn up, but did not charge. By the enclosed return, you will see what part of General Wayne's detachment suffered most. The services rendered by the officers make me happy to think that although many were wounded, we lost none. Most of the field officers had their horses killed. The same accident to every horse of the 2 field pieces made it impossible to move them, unless men had been sacrificed. but it is enough for the glory of General Wayne and the officers and men he commanded with a reconnoitering party, only to have attacked the whole British army close to their encampment, and by the severe skirmish hastened their retreat over the river. Colonel Bower of the Riflemen is a prisoner. I have the honor to be, sir, your most obedient servant. To George Washington. Ambler's Plantation, 8th July, 1781. The enclosed copy, my dear General, will give you an account of our affairs in this quarter. Agreeably to your orders, I have avoided a general action, and when Lord Cornwallis's movements indicating it was against his interest to fight, I have returned partial engagements. His lordship seems to have given up the conquest of Virginia. It has been a great secret that our army was not superior, and was most generally inferior to the enemy's numbers. Our returns were swelled up as generally militia returns are, but we had very few under arms, particularly lately, and to conceal the lessening of our numbers, I was obliged to push on as one who had heartily wished a general engagement. Our regulars did not exceed 1,500. The enemy had 4,000, regulars 800 of whom mounted. They thought we had 8,000 men. I never encamped in a line, and there was a greater difficulty to come at our numbers. Should, as I presumed it will, a detachment be sent to General Greene, I shall move the Pennsylvanians and Virginians first. The Pennsylvanians, I know, have great objections, but common sense points out the expediency of this arrangement, which had already been made by General Greene. I am afraid Congress will be applied to on the occasion, and request you will enforce my opinion. Adieu, my dear General. I am going confidentially to write you by a safe hand, and shall only add the expressions of my affection and respect. Lafayette. It's weird. General orders. Ambler's Plantation, opposite James River, July 8, 1781. The General is happy in acknowledging the spirit of the detachment commanded by General Wayne, and their engagement with the total of the British army, of which he happened to be an eyewitness. He requests General Wayne, the officers and men under his command, to receive his best thanks. The bravery and destructive fire of the riflemen engaged rendered essential service. The brilliant conduct of Major Galvin and the Continental detachment under his command entitle them to applause. The conduct of the Pennsylvania Field and other officers are new instances of their gallantry and talents. The fire of the light infantry under Major Willis checked the enemy's progress round our right flank. The general was much pleased and with the conduct of Captain Savage of the artillery, and it is with pleasure also he observes that nothing but the loss of horses could have produced that of the 2 field pieces. The zeal of Colonel Mercer's little corps is handsomely expressed in the number of horses he had killed. I think he's talking about Mount Vernon, or Van Buren. It's either Mount Vernon or Van Buren. I forgot exactly where it was. To the Vicomte de Noailles, Williamsburg, July 9th, 1781. You will have but a word today, my dear brother, but I refer to you my public letter. Dennis is going to leave for Philadelphia, and I shall give him a longer epistle. I feared a battle, and with good reason, but I tried to make Lord Cornwallis fear one also. All things considered, I am just as well pleased that he gave us the advantage by retreating just when our little army advanced on him. He has retreated 120 miles from Elk Island. You were informed of the little affair with Simcoe. The skirmish of Green Spring was followed by a retreat that left us in possession of everything on the side of the James River. Those cursed artillery horses that got themselves killed lost 2 of Wayne's cannon, but I consoled myself for the loss with some stores and the horses the enemy left behind. Lord Cornwallis treated the wound who fell into his hands with every refinement of kindness and courtesy to our army. This devil Cornwallis is much wiser than the other generals with whom I have dealt. He inspires me with a sincere fear, and his name has greatly troubled my sleep. This campaign is a good school for me. God grant that the public does not pay for my lessons. Poiret behaved intrepidly, and I assure you he had a very lively time. My fine horse from M. Holker was killed under my groom, and another had his jaw injured. Farewell, my compliments to all our friends. Embrace Damas, Charlus, and Duponts. God grant that we may manage the Virginia affair well, and that I may join you in New York, your friend. To Allen Jones, quarters near Soames Bridge, 10th July, 1781. Sir, having received advice of General Greene's situation, and seen a copy of your letter to Colonel Parker, I conceived it necessary to give you some account of things in this quarter, that we might the better cooperate for the relief of General Greene. On the 6th instant, I moved down towards Jamestown, near which place Lord Cornwallis had retired. A reconnoitering party of about 800 men, which fell in with their main body near the Green Spring, notwithstanding our inferiority, a warm and close action commenced, and we retired about half a mile without having sustained any material loss. The total of killed and wounded not rising above 130. 2 pieces of cannon were lost owing to the horses being killed. According to accounts, Cornwallis suffered about 250 in killed and wounded. The next night he crossed to Cobham, leaving no post whatever on this side James River. Lord Cornwallis is now advancing Carolina. I shall either follow his lordship in case he proceeds with his whole force, or form a junction with General Greene, as circumstances may direct. Should you not have received particular instructions how to act in such a juncture, I think it absolutely essential that all the force within your power be employed in embarrassing his march, by a destruction of bridges, of boats, and by obstructing fords. If it is possible to harass him without committing yourself too much, this should not be left undone. Everything, in short, is to be essayed that we can attempt to prevent or delay his junction with the army now acting against General Greene. I pray you to advise me of whatever you may think necessary to my movements. I have the honor to be, sir, your obedient servant, Lafayette. To Thomas Nelson, July 10th, 1781. Dear Sir, Dr. Sir, I have 1,000 pardons to ask for not having written you sooner, but I knew you would not be without intelligence. Soon the skirmish, I had to go to Jamestown, to Williamsburg, to our several hospitals. I had arrangements to make in the army, letters to write in the northward, and 100 affairs besides on my hand. Enclosed you will find a copy of my public letter. It gives you a detail of everything that was passed. I have collected it from observations of my own and deserters. Indeed, it was a high time, my lord, should retreat, for our militia are vanishing daily. I hope your excellency will hurry the reliefs, that the evacuation of the state be as much forwarded as possible. I would beg leave particular to recommend that all the horses wanting for Washington and White be immediately completed. Oh, you're talking about Grey's Anatomy. Hold on. You're talking about the way they talk. So if you were to watch it, like, it's pretty intelligent, you know what I mean, as far as the script and the writing. But whenever you go to real life, people can't speak that way. So you're basically setting a standard that cannot be, I mean, you're trying to raise the bar, I get it. But still, that's when you start getting into the pantheon and the children of Israel. That plays into that. The way you, the wording of things. Again, like the King James, the English version, the James English. As we go down the James River, it's a style. So they can do that whenever in Hollywood, whenever the script. But again, you have the arc here, so like, what's really, that's the thing. Don't ever forget that. I haven't seen all the shows, though. I'm just saying, like, I'm pointing that out. You know, by no means have I seen every little detail. And I think Thomas Jefferson mentioned he could see the tabs. I had the map pulled up and he could see the tabs. So maybe that's what it is. Like, once I go to Netflix, they can see everything that I see. They have access to all of it through the arc. I don't know what that is, to be honest. I went through all that, and that's like, again, Mercury here. as we move through the science and figure this out. Yeah, we don't know that that is at all. A peeping Tom is what it is. I'm definitely something important, so whatever that is. I don't know. That's what he's pointing out there, the affairs. He mentioned that, and then the anatomy. Dr. Sir. That's what we're talking about. It's painting a picture. But then you're starting to, like, some of the women, like, who actually wrote that? Women could have wrote it, and then you're talking, like, women have a higher capacity of, like, because of babies and birth. As far as, like, speed here, they're smaller, too. Women are smaller, so they're faster thinkers. I'm just giving you the science here. You know what I mean? If you're getting into it, and, like, psychology and, like, manipulation. I mean, by no means, like, to raise the bar and, like, the expectation. Don't get me wrong. But you're like, you start getting into the operation, and then it's like, now I have to give you childbirth at home. It's like, okay, all right. I mean, I guess I could, really. The village over here. I guess we could, ladies. Doctors, sir. All of them are Do we have a doctor? I need a doctor. I need a doctor, sir. Where are we at? I'm gonna go to random. We're going to halfway here. 100, 100. That looked pretty good. See, I haven't seen every little detail, so I don't know. You know, let that be for the general public. As for the foremost, the first of the immigrants and the helpers and those who follow them in goodness, Allah is pleased with them, and they are pleased with him. And he was prepared for them gardens under which rivers flow, to stay there forever and ever. That is the ultimate triumph. Some of the nomads around you, believers, are hypocrites, as are some of the people of Medina. They have mastered hypocrisy. They are not known to you, O Prophet. They are known to us. We will punish them twice in this world. Then they will be brought back to their Lord for a tremendous punishment. Some others have confessed their wrongdoing. They have mixed goodness with evil. It is right to hope that Allah will turn to them in mercy. Surely Allah is all-forgiving, most merciful. Take from their wealth, O Prophet, charity to purify and bless them, and pray for them. Surely your prayer is a source of comfort for them, and Allah is all-hearing, all-knowing. By accounts from the southward, I'm afraid General Green has been obliged to retire, and of course we must endeavor to support him. If any exertion or any maneuver of ours has produced advantage to the state, and if we are able to see it yet more entirely freed from the enemy, I shall think myself one of the happiest men upon earth. It gives me pleasure to think that while the enemy were anxious to fight, not one gun was fired, but the moment they declined coming to action, we made it our business to force them to partial engagements, followed by general retreats. The official letter is only intended for your private satisfaction and that of your friends. You will be pleased to shew it to the Baron. I have the honor to be with great regard, Dr. Sir, Your Excellency's obedient servant, Lafayette. Dr. Sir. Not one gun was fired. He retreated. The truther. Oh no. Yeah, I don't know what to say. I'm just reading, you know, I'm here. Oh, I was thinking about the fire. Anybody who adds to this book in Revelations will be burned with fire. So I would be the original version. So if you add this into that, like all the people who didn't, you know what I mean? That bell should technically should burn them, you know? Add to my defense. To Thomas Nelson, Holtz Forge, 12th July, 1781. Talking about the computer, the forge. My dear sir, this letter will be delivered by Colonel Febiger, whom, if you approve of it, will appoint to the command of the new exchanged prisoners. I wish them to be brought to a place of security to Colonel Febiger. I beg leave to refer you for every particular relative to these men, of which I hope he will have your assistance. The enemy appear to be going up towards Petersburg. I think, however, part of them is destined to Carolina, and another part to New York. Should this take place, the Pennsylvanians and Virginia new levies with some of the cavalry ought to reinforce General Greene, who, you know, has raised the siege of 96. Give me leave, my dear sir, once more to entreat the necessity of collecting horses, independent of those already impressed. 300 more may be employed under Continental Dragoons. He's latching onto the oven. I hope the executive will take rigorous measures to have every accoutrement dispersed in the country brought together and returned to the Continental troops. Yeah, we need to get them out of there. Whoever's attached to the oven up here as I speak, because every time I speak, you sit there and hover. I promise you, if you do not remove that, you are not the fire adding on to anything, I assure you. Oh, that is unfortunate for you guys. That needs to be removed on the oven. The glass in there, the oven, whatever it may be, the weight. Which one of you is it? I promise you I will find you. Which one of you is it on the oven? Oh, it vacate the premises now. The cartel there. Need to get them out. Cartel, as you the oven, as I mentioned that. That's funny. What you're not gonna do, Army, couldn't get him off because you didn't pay me. You can join them in the fire. You can get him off the oven now. I really wasn't on your time here. But anyway. Troops, I'm sorry to say that the militia are vanished into nothing. It does not, riflemen, including, exceed 1,500. Should Lord Cornwallis know the secret and become offensive again, we are in a critical situation. In case his lordship continues to move up, our stores had better be sent out the way, even from Albemarle, and I request your excellency would then give orders to that effect. Colonel Mercer had with him some gentlemen volunteers of the best families in this state. Their services and their zeal have been great. Their gallantry has been testified by their losing 7 horses out of 20 in their skirmish. I have advised them to return home, as the remainder of their horses were harassed to death. Should the state make them a compliment of 7 fine horses to replace those which have been lost, it would afford me to great pleasure. Your official letter might be addressed to me or to Colonel Mercer. Could not something of the kind be done for the field officers whose horses had been killed in the skirmish, whose affectionately and respectfully yours, Lafayette? This is what he's doing. On the oven. This is the oven. When I speak, he has it attached to my voice. I don't know how they're doing it through the brass of the... It's definitely heat. You're attaching onto the oven. The glass there, I don't... There's two things. The material, I don't know. It's the metal. That's the oven right here. Again, those fanatics. You can pay for it. Francis. You're the only one that would do something like that. Go ahead and get them out. Off that oven. That gravity. Gravity, the glass, I do not know. But it's definitely the oven. Down the staircase. Well, you moved something, but... Anyway. Colonel Mercer had with him some gentlemen, volunteers with the best families in the state. The service and the zeal have been great. Okay. 2 Thomas Nelson, headquarters, Long Bridge, 13th July, 1781. The choices that were made, it's kind of like, damn, you're not getting past me. And then you attacked me. Yeah, I'm not going to be nice to you at all. In front of your wives, I assure you. The choices that were made. Again, these tools. 2 Thomas Nelson, Sir, the enemy of this quarter, pointing one part towards Portsmouth, with their legions on the route towards South Carolina, makes me conclude that the latter at least are intended to unite with Rawdon. When we add to this the reinforcements lately arrived at Charlestown, with compelled G. Greene to raise the siege of 96, and his present critical situation, I could not scruple in sending a detachment to this relief. This has marched this morning and is composed of the Pennsylvanians and the Virginia New Levy Regiment under General Wayne. But as this force is inadequate to G. Greene's wants, the whole not exceeding 800, I have to request that your Excellency will order to assemble at or near Tater's Ferry on Roanoke, not less than 1,000 militia to march with General Wayne in the coffee, but whose times of service are not to commence till joined with General Greene. These will not only be absolutely necessary to the latter, but it may be impracticable for G. Wayne to proceed without them. Should Lord Cornwallis's detachment enterprise anything against him, we have everything to dread from their vast superiority. There are other reasons, however, to induce this measure. If we do not want them beyond the Roanoke, we may be in this quarter. The enemy has not yet left the state, and should he again turn himself this way, we shall certainly want not only them, but a greater number. Great. I am persuaded this matter. Where did you guys see those horses at?
Echo Bluff.
Echo Bluff?
Echo Bluff Campground.
Yeah. I am persuaded this matter will strike your Excellency as it has done me, that at all events it is proper to secure Greene in order at least to keep him where he is. For the nearer we suffer him to approach this state, the more will our difficulties increase. And should we be fortunate enough to give him any advantage over the enemy, we shall feel its operation in proportion to its magnitude. I would only add that the detachment I have made is chiefly in consequence of intelligence I have received of the enemy's preparing for an embarkation, and that should the legions attempt our stores by calling out the militia, we render their return a very hazardous maneuver. A few days since I mentioned to you the precaution of moving our stores in case the enemy should look that way, which I hope was not miscarried. I have the honor to be your Excellency's most obedient servant, Lafayette. From the Baron von Steuben, near Charlottesville, July 13th, 1781. My Dr. Marquis, Major Call having joined me here, I have appointed him to superintend the recruiting and remounting the cavalry, and have instructed him to collect together all horses that have been already procured either by Empress or otherwise, to collect also the arms and accoutrements, and to call in Colonel Fibiger for the number of men he may be able to equip. A captain from each of the 2 regiments of cavalry is to assist him, and to receive the recruits for their respective regiments, and to avoid any partiality in the delivery either of the horses, men, arms, or equipment. I have directed that everything shall be delivered by lots to be drawn by the 2 captains. Colonel White will therefore be no longer obliged to attend to this business, and I must request you to order him to deliver to Major Call all such horses as he may have procured, and this as soon as possible, for not a moment should be lost in completing the cavalry all in our power. The ill state of my health, added to the excessive heat of this climate, renders it impossible for me to go from place to place, and pay that attention to this business that I could wish. I must therefore request you to order Colonel Fibiger to join me as soon as possible. I was in expectation of meeting the governor here, and wished much to confer with him on the necessity of completing the draft of the state's quota. He was already gone to Richmond when I arrived. Let me beg you, Dr. Marquis, to use your influence in this affair. A word from you may have more effect than all the representations I have made. I shall be extremely obliged to you to inform me when you have leisure the situation of affairs with you. Reports here are so vague and uncertain, they serve only to confuse one. I am, and C. From George Washington, headquarters near Dobbs Ferry, 13th July, 1781. My dear Marquis, since my last I received your letters of the 10th, 18th, and 28th of June. I sincerely congratulate you on the favorable turn of affairs announced in your last, and I hope you will be enabled to maintain that superiority which you seem to be gaining over Lord Cornwallis. We have had a variety of reports of General Greene further successes in South Carolina. By some we are told that both Augusta and 96 have fallen, but in a letter which I have just recorded from Mons Morbois, he says that Augusta has been taken and the siege of 96 raised. Count de Rochambeau formed a junction with me at this camp, about 12 miles from Kingsbridge, a few days ago. We are waiting for reinforcements for the Continental Line and of militia, and are in the meantime establishing our communication at Dobbs Ferry. I shall shortly have occasion to communicate matters of a very great importance to you, so much so that I shall send a confidential officer on purpose to you. You will in the meantime endeavor to draw together as respectable a body of Continental troops as you possibly can, and take every measure to augment your cavalry. Should the enemy confine themselves to the lower country, you will no doubt pay attention to the formation of magazines above. These will be in every case essential, whether the war continues in Virginia, or whether it will be still carried in South Carolina. Should General Greene come to Virginia in person, you will be good enough to communicate the foregoing to him. In the present situation of affairs, it is of the utmost importance that a communication by a chain of expresses should be opened between this army and that in Virginia. They are already established from hence to Philadelphia, and if there are none from you to Philadelphia, you will be pleased to take measures for having it done. You will also endeavor to establish such a communication with the coast to be able to know whether any troops are detached by sea from Lord Cornwallis's army. For it is more than probable that if he finds himself baffled in overrunning Virginia, he will take a strong post at Portsmouth or Williamsburg, and reinforce New York or South Carolina. Should any detachment be made, you will transmit me the earliest intelligence. What you say in confidence of the conduct of a certain officer shall be kept a profound secret, and I will contrive means of removing him from the quarter where he is so unpopular. The Rhode Island regiment is so thinly officered that Colonel Olney, which is one of the subs of the light company, may be suffered to return when Captain Olney joins. You will act in this as circumstances may permit. You have the compliments and good wishes of all your friends in the French army. Those of the American are not behindhand with them. With the warmest affection and esteem, I am, my dear Marquis, your most obedient and humble servant. Oh, yeah, they most definitely, yes. To Anthony Wayne, Richmond, 15th July, 1781. Dr. Sir, from the best intelligence I can get, the enemy's cavalry are gone very high up the country, either with a view to destroy some stores or with the intention of gaining South Carolina. In either case, it becomes important that some troops be advanced further south, which may maneuver them lower down. Or should the cavalry reinforce Lord Rawdon form a junction with General Greene, the plasma there, buddies. General Morgan, with the riflemen and what horse we can collect, will march tomorrow towards Goods Bridge from West Ham, where he will cross the river. I request you will tomorrow proceed to Chesterfield Courthouse, and the day following to Goods Bridge. I have sent a commissary to lay in provision at this place, but it may be well for your commissary also to take some precautions on the stores of Appomattox. General Morgan, who precedes you to Good Bridge, will be able to inform you of the enemy's movements. Should a stroke at Colonel Tarleton be found practicable, you have my permission to make it in conjunction with General Morgan, but in case the enemy are going in the southward, you will be so far on your way to General Greene. You may write to Mr. Constable at Petersburg, who will try to get you intelligence of the enemy's situation below you. But I think they are gone to Portsmouth. With the highest esteem, I have the honor to be, Dr. Sir, your obedient servant, Lafayette. You will send your intelligence to 4 Mile Creek. To Thomas Burke, Richmond, 16th July, 1781. We'll see if it gets done. Sir, I have the honor to inform your Excellency that the Pennsylvania troops and Virginia new levies under Brigadier General Wayne are on their way to join General Greene's army. Congress have given General Wayne ample powers for expediting his march. But notwithstanding, I am apprehensive it must be retarded, unless you will add your utmost assistance. He intends to make Boyd's Ferry, a Guilford courthouse, his route. Let me entreat that every means of subsistence and transportation be prepared and in readiness. Oh, he wants me to get my coffee. Excuse me, I totally forgot. I lost track. I'll be right back. Take a break. Oh, some oatmeal, huh? Throw down the horse. Where were you at? You mentioned something, I forgot. The substance. Congress has given General Wayne ample powers. Using lasers and shit in homes. Yeah, I don't think so, dude. Not how this is gonna work. At all. He needs to make Boyd's Ferry and Guilford Courthouse his route. A body of Virginia militia is also ordered to the southward. The retreat of Lord Cornwallis has enabled me to make a detachment, which, however, leaves us much exposed in this quarter. But I hope the exertions of North Carolina, by enabling General Greene to cope with Lord Rawdon, and if the cavalry goes south, it will require the most powerful reinforcement, will justify the measure I take in throwing this little succor unto the southern scale. I have the honor to be the most perfect respect, your excellency, most obedient servant, Lafayette. To Daniel Morgan, Richmond, 16th July, 1781. Dr. Sir, I've attached to your command Major Nelson's corps and the Maryland Volunteer Dragoons. I beg leave to recommend the latter to your attention. Most of them are men of fortune who make great sacrifices to serve this country. You will not therefore put them upon the duties of orderlies or the common camp duties, to which can be as well performed by the Continental horse. In everything else you will find them answer your expectations, as they are only to be subject to your orders when you have accomplished the objects mentioned in my letter of yesterday, or when it is decided that Tarleton intends southerly and is beyond the reach of being struck. You will be good enough to order their return to headquarters. It is my wish to dismiss them the moment it is in my power. I am, Dr. Sir, your obedient servant, Lafayette. There you go. General Daniel Morgan right here. Hello, kind sir. I'm pretty sure Sitting Bull was a little bit later, though, as we go through this. I have to go through the dates again. But, I mean, you get it. Dear Sir, to Daniel Morgan, Richmond, 17th July, 1781. Dear Sir, my former intelligences were decisive upon Tarleton's going towards Roanoke, but I just now hear that he was last night at Walker's house, 7 miles above Walker's Mill, on Nottoway River, 32 miles south of Petersburg. He was expected in that town this night. General Wayne is over the river and has orders to be very cautious, but if Colonel Tarleton could be surprised tonight at Petersburg, he is to make the attempt. I think, my dear friend, we are rather scattered, and it will be better for you to fall back towards Chesterfield Courthouse, so that if instead of attacking Wayne was attacked, he may retire to you. By the last accounts, Lord Cornwallis was at Portsmouth. I heartily believe Tarleton will come to Petersburg. At all events, you may take such positions in the woods as will effectually cover you from his horse, but we are so distant that I leave with you to act according to circumstances. Yours, Lafayette. You will please to have dragoons at Buffords to give General Wayne notice. I'm not going anywhere. Nottoway River, 32 miles. You got the coordinates out. They zoomed out. They zoomed in on the latitude and longitude. What do you want me to say? My dear friend, we are rather scattered, and it will be better for you to fall backwards. Chesterfield Courthouse. Oh, excuse me. Out in the woods? Yeah, I'm not. We're not working with you, dude. I don't know what to tell you. Especially when you're attacking me in my home. Like you're not firing lasers into the home. Gravity. This is why you placed him down here. And I'm not arguing with you about it at all. So, see ya. I really don't know what to tell you. Attacking Wayne? Nobody's attacking. We'll come to Petersburg. I have no clue. At all events. Oh. Some Splinter Cell. That's all I see. Is there a doctor? I don't know what to say. Ark. I'm here. To Lord Cornwallis, headquarters, 19th July, 1781. My lord, I find but a representation from my commissary of prisoners that he could not get yours to agree upon an exchange of the volunteer militia, dragoons of the American army, taken by your lordship's troops. It seems he considered them as superior to common privates, and grounded his refusal on this. These men, my lord, are of the same character as the other militia, perform the same tours of duty, are subject to the same laws, and have the distinction only of volunteer dragoons, from their consenting to the horse service in preference to the infantry. I flatter myself with your orders for the relief, but should anything remain which may be brought to require further explanation, perhaps it could be obtained best by an interview between an officer of your army and one from this. In this case, I leave it to your lordship to fix the time and place of meeting. I have the honor to be, my lord, your lordship's most obedient servant, Lafayette. Yeah, if you guys are done with the war, then I can exit the building. We can stop doing this. It's not a problem. So as soon as you step outside of that cave, I'm gonna go ahead and consider that consent. You understand? With my ship that I've clearly stated and laid out for you. All in due time. The fire there. Okay. I don't know what you're really talking about. To be honest, I'm kind of lost. I'm over here talking. I'm attacking. I don't even know what I'm attacking about. You said something. You demanded something, and I said no, and it's like, okay. So, again, you consent. I don't know what to tell you. I bid you adieu. Shoo you. The Dragoons. What was that a game back on PlayStation 1? I forgot. I just bought a new game. The Dragoon game. I forgot. It was kind of like Chrono Cross. It was RPG. Anyway. The Goonies. He's a Dragoon. The Goonies. That's not what I see at all. I see the bell. The radiation from the bell. If you're talking about your hair and the wigs, if that's what you're asking. Doctor? Oh, that makes sense. It seems to me that's when the bell started. And if you look at Egypt, the pyramids are a bell. That's why like, all of Africa is like in one giant desert. That's why your hair is the grass, the hair in the grass. It's no different. The Liberty Bell. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. Nowadays, they've attached the skyscrapers to the pyramids with the shadow. in some way, some form. The bell. It's the bell. I don't know what you want me to say, Mercury. As I see the ship as it lays out under the radar there. Tick tock, tick tock. I have my own bell. Thank you. What is this? Why is this not being removed? To Thomas Tucker, Malvern Hills, July 19th, 1781. Dear Sir, notwithstanding every precaution I could take, I am still afraid the wounded and sick under your care are not amply provided for. Commissaries have been sent, but I fear they have been as much negligent. I request you will be all means procure whatever may add to the comfort and convenience of our sick and particularly the wounded. Colonel Innes will command in the district next to Williamsburg. He has particular directions to see that your requests be complied with and the duty well performed by those who are to have you supplied. I have the honor to be and Lafayette. I'll be right back. Yeah, I eat my oats for the day and the horses. There they go. Oh. I mean, what are you expecting? All of life and no reward. Yeah, that's cool. Thanks. I don't really feel obligated to do much. I'll be honest with you. Again, I like reading and learning as I progress. I do not think very highly of you. I will be honest. I mean, as far as the people of the past, I do. They're pretty legitimate. Seem pretty genuine. I mean, regardless of the information. It's like, they're very cordial. They're not... Every once in a while you trigger them and they get pissed and you can tell, but for the most part, like, they're not... Even with the fish... They're still not asses about it, you know? To George Washington, Malvern Hill, July 20th, 1781. My dear General, no accounts from the northward, no letter from headquarters. I am utterly estranged to everything that passes outside of Virginia. And Virginian operations being for the present in a state of languor, I have more time to think of my solitude. In a word, my dear General, I am homesick, and if I can't go to headquarters, which is at least to hear from there... The cure to all diseases. Damn. He knows he's sick. I remember. Again, the bell, like I said. There may not be much you can do once it sets in. I don't know what to say to you. Come up with an instant cure. Like the step-by-steps. I think you've went through it. The change of season. I mean, it could be the... Again, the bells. You're getting into some new territory, and they're probably experimenting with the electric and stuff. So it's almost like a form of evolution. I mean, you're gonna die no matter what. Everybody dies. If you're coming up with some like never-ending cure, good luck. Probably, maybe. If it came down to it. But again, to me, that's like these diseases are kind of like evolution, in a way. Some might be like happening quicker than other, or like quicker than they should, or maybe. Like over time, you're talking like generations here, breeding. Like, so like you may not be immune to it, but the next person might be immune to it. You know what I mean? It's no different than the game. Then you start getting into stuff that's like hereditary. And then you start getting into the woods. Like, you know, there's so many factors, like human factors here. People just aren't in the right woods that they should be in. You got to think the smell. You know, like you into a pine forest, you can smell the pine. So it's no different than that. The trees put off a certain smell, which is like the root of your body. So it's like radiation, you know what I mean? Cancer and stuff. If you're traveling around a lot, I'm anxious to know your opinion concerning... Okay. I'm anxious to know your opinion concerning the Virginia campaign. That the subjugation of the state was the great object with the ministry is an undisputable fact. I think your diversion has been of more use of this state than my maneuvers, but the later have been much directed by political views. So long as my lord wished for an action, not one gun has been fired. The moment he declined it, we have been skirmishing, but I took care never to commit the army his naval superiority. His superiority of horse, see, you understand, of horse, of regulars, 1,000 advantages over us were such that I am lucky enough to have come off safe. I had an eye upon European negotiations, and made it a point to give his lordship the disgrace of a retreat. So soon as he had crossed, he improved the opportunity to send Tarleton unto Amelia. Are you talking about Sarah? Like I said. Are we talking about fire here? That's funny. Amelia Earhart. How would you know this? The spirit of St. Louis. As I talk about the diseases here, the burn. So, like I said, I'm positive, dude. You're doing it through my feet. I'm positive you're full of shit, is what I'm telling you. As I get doctor here, as I go through the science. Definitely I don't know the math. And if you're talking about nomenclature, like, by no means am I going to memorize any of that or try to sell it. But I know what I know. I'm positive. Get this out of here, not this. I can feel it. You're under the toenail. You're under the toenail. You have taken, I'm positive that you have taken the nuclear power plants. You have one here, you have one in another state, which is Florida. It's a hotter state. So many things wrong. Let me go through the steps on the map, to be honest with you. I'm positive that is what's happened here. It's like a crab. I mean, not, but I mean, it's like pinching. So again, you have taken the latitude, the nuclear power plant's latitude of this state, and taken it of another state and combined it. That's where that burn is coming from. Amelia, Sarah, I know what you're talking about. It's like, That's when we stopped. Part of. Again, though, I'm positive. There's foul play there, and that's not the truth, and that you're playing, you're bullshitting is what you're doing. Coming up with some theory is what you're doing. I won't get mad about it, but I'm positive. Right underneath that toenail, the big toenail there, the tip. It's hard to explain. Think of like what is it, Link's in Ocarina of Time, his metal boots. So if you're like one person comes here and then goes here, and then they have sex, you see where I'm coming? The heat. I'm positive that is what has happened. So before anybody throws a fit here. Yeah, that's part of it. But it's also like I'm not really scared. It's not it's the big toe, dude. It's hard to explain. The source of it. Again, Einstein, as you try to pull a fast one on me. Maybe that's the nuclear bomb. Sarah, I don't know. I mean, you can sit here and go to the doctor, and they can give you medicine for whatever they think it is, but I promise you, this is what the real problem is, and that you're basically running a robot with this system. I'm positive. I don't know what else to tell you. It's like, you're talking about my health here. You know what I mean? That's hard. I hear you. I see you. You read minds, but it's like, putting weight as you hack, steal. I mean, you've done your best. You've done what you can, so here I am. A prisoner. No, I can leave at any time, you motherfucker. It's so good. I'm glued to the screen. He wants answers. But I mean, I'm your friend. By no means am I not. But again, you have done what you can. I can see that. To George Washington. Oh, here we are. Blair been. Say with a great object with the ministry, it's undisputed fact. The Virginians, they separated the brothels. Maybe that's what it was. I don't know what to tell you. I haven't talked to a woman. Again, that's part of it. But again, it's like, I'm not the only one, you know. Here on the map over here, that's the odd thing about it too. That's why it's like, okay, you're bullshitting me. I can feel it down there on the throb right now. Hellraiser. It's just like Hellraiser. Coming up with theories on these towers, what you're doing. So long as my lord wished for an action and not one gun has been fired, The moment he declined it would have been skirmishing, but I took care never to commit the army, his naval superiority, his superiority of horse, his lordship, the disgrace of a retreat. I had an eye upon European negotiations, and made it a point to give his lordship, I think that's Benjamin. So soon as he had crossed, he improved the opportunity to send Tarleton into Amelia, but was disappointed in the stores which he expected to find, which had been previously removed. I thought at first the cavalry would toast, and detach Wayne and Morgan either to maneuver Tarleton down or to determine his course. Upon this he retired with the participation towards Portsmouth, where the British army is for the present. From every account it appears a part of the army will embark. The light infantry, the guards, the 80th regiment, the Queen's Rangers are, it is said, destined to New York. Of this I have sent accounts by water to Rhode Island, but question if the boats will arrive. Well, go ahead and abort that mission. My opinion was the cavalry should push towards Carolina, but their late movements seem to indicate a different intention. Lord Cornwallis, I am told, is much disappointed in his hopes of command. I cannot find out what he does with himself. Should he go to England, we are, I think, to rejoice for it. He is a bold and active man, two dangerous qualities in this Southern war. General Wayne's Pennsylvanians never exceeded about 700. Fighting and desertion have much reduced them. I have sent him to Goodsbridge upon Appomattox. The 3 Pennsylvania battalions have been reduced to 2, about 250 each fit for duty. To this I have added 300 Virginia new levies. General Morgan and 500 riflemen with some dragoons is also at Goodsbridge to support Wayne, but the moment the embarkation sails Morgan will return and the other proceeds to Carolina. I have obtained from the executive that 2,000 militia be ordered to Boyd's Ferry upon Dan River. This force will give General Greene a decided superiority. I am determined to reinforce him at my own risk. It is important for the treaty that Carolina be reconquered. So that makes sense, Mr. Trump, with the charges there and the nuke. That's what we're talking about. I'm positive. So this would be an order here, I guess, Mr. President. I have to call it by initial here. So she flew up, Amelia, Sarah. She flew up from Florida. I think it's funny that you're from West Palm. Is that what we're talking about in these charges? I still haven't heard anything. I don't know. So anyway, she flew up to see me. I met her while I lived down there, and she stayed. So anyway, so I'm positive that it's the nuclear power plants, as you got charged there, sir. That's what we're talking about. So it doesn't actually exist. We're talking about two different lines of latitude, and the heat that they produce, and the curve, the way the sun and the light hits them. That's what they did. Again, the heartbeat there. Whether her, I mean, I do not know. They could have zapped me with a drone, and I just don't know. You know what I mean? That's what it is. Moby Dick over here. The light infantry and whatever militia remains are encamped upon Malvern Hill, the most airy and healthy place this side of the mountains. See, I don't even know. I have a post at Sandy Point to examine the enemy's movements. I shall have some militia in the vicinity of Williamsburg. The Gloucester County militia in their own county. Colonel Parker has some on the south side of James River. The few boats that remain are collected at 4 Miles Creek. Such is for the present our situation. I have endeavored to attend to the health and refreshment of our men. While I had parties to gain intelligences and prevent plunders, I have directed Parker's detachment, about 300 militia, to keep clear of danger from an attack. His men are from the adjacent counties to Suffolk. The executive had promised I should in a little time have 5,000 militia. Let it be 4,000 and the light infantry in case 2,000 men go to New York. 600 must be kept as a garrison in Portsmouth, and the remainder, though we can't prevent their plundering, may be prevented from Smokey the Bear may be prevented from forming any establishment in the state, provided we can make up a body of cavalry. The most difficult of all works in this country. Nothing but a treaty of alliance with the Negroes can find out dragoon horses, and it is by those means the enemy have got a formidable cavalry. Enclosed, my dear General, you will find some plans relating to the islands of New York. I could not sooner get at them. During the retreat and during the pursuit, our small army had as little baggage as possible with militia, and I endeavored to give the example. George has been very sick, but has now... That's odd because I'm not, ever. George has been very sick, but has now recovered and is with me. In Mercer's volunteer dragoons there was a younger nephew of yours, who is very promising and served as a dragoon with the utmost zeal, activity, and gallantry. Major Galvin, having obtained leave to return to the northward, is now on his way to Philadelphia. The clothing you have long ago sent to the light infantry is not yet arrived. I have been obliged to send for it, and expect it in a few days. These 3 battalions are the best troops that ever took the field. My confidence in them is unbounded. They are far superior to any British troops, and none will ever venture to meet them at equal numbers. What a pity these men are not employed along with the French grenadiers. They would do eternal honor to our arms, but their presence here, I must confess, has saved this state, and indeed the southern part of the continent. Adieu, my dear General. With the highest respect and most tender affection, I have the honor to be your most obedient and humble servant, Lafayette. To George Washington, Malvern Hill, July 20th, 1781. My dear General, this letter is not by any means directed to the Commander-in-Chief, but to the most intimate and confidential friend. I will lay before you my circumstances and my wishes. Certain I am you will do whatever you can for me that is consistent with your public duty. When I went to the southward, you know I had some private objections, but I became sensible of the necessity there was for the detachment to go, and I know that had I returned there was nobody that could lead them on against their inclination. My entering this state was happily marked by a service to the capital. Virginia became the grand object of the enemy, as it was the point to which the ministry tended. I had the honor to command an army and oppose Lord Cornwallis. When I, incomparably inferior to him, fortune was pleased to preserve us. When equal in numbers, though not in the kind of troops, we have also been pretty lucky. Cornwallis had the disgrace of a retreat, and the state being recovered. Government properly reestablished. The enemy are under protection of their works at Portsmouth. I don't even know who they are. That's the thing. It appears an embarkation is taking place, probably destined to New York. The war in this state would then become a plundering one, and great maneuvers be out of the question. A prudent officer would do our business here, and the Baron is prudent to the utmost. Would it be possible, my dear General, that in case a part of the British troops go to New York, I may be allowed to join the combined armies? I know the command of a separate army ought not to be acquitted, but besides the services I may render in the cooperation, some arrangements which I leave to your goodness for me to think of may put me in a very brilliant station. Mr. de Choisy, I am told, is very unhappy to be left behind. Perhaps these French troops will be replaced by militia, which requires a general officer. Perhaps a corps of observation in the Jerseys will be given to another. The militia requires a major general, as it will be very numerous. Does not General St. Clair take command of the Pennsylvania line, and will not this line be forwarded to the southward rather than the New England light infantry? So that, my dear General, I hope something may be found for me in the continental part of the army. The more so, as it seems it will form 1 or 2 divisions of the combined army under your command. I have calculated that nothing very material would happen before September. By that time your forces will be collected, clothed, and arranged. A succor from the West Indies may arrive. You will then decide if the upper part of the island, Long Island, Staten Island, or New York Island is to be in our possession. This letter goes today by a faithful servant, will arrive the 29th at camp. Your answer will be with some, so that I may be set out the 10th and arrive at headquarters about the 20th. This matter I have not mentioned to anybody, and wish it may rest between you and me. Lord Cornwallis is every day inquiring about my going to the Grand Army, which, he says, must be soon the case. This induces me to think they believe you are in earnest in your preparations. I have no plans whatsoever. The command of this army has been a great matter for me. You may end this campaign of mine in the most brilliant manner, but the command I may, with some arrangements, get in the combined army. The services I may render with respect of the cooperation may be a very good reason, and my coming unexpected, unless I have many senior officers in the way, may entitle me to a great command. Should not a great part of the operating army in the quarter go to New York, I would not trouble you with my wishes to return to H.D. quarters. But do not, I pray. I believe I have the least notion of calculating upon commands, though in my personal circumstances they become peculiarly important to me. If I may be the least good to you, it will make me happy to serve as a volunteer aide-de-camp to you. Forgive a letter, my dear General, that is written in the confidence of the most intimate and tender friendship. One eligible sentence. Yours, Lafayette. I appreciate it. I don't know where to go in New York. Again, nobody's approached me, so I don't know, like, get in the car and go to New York. That's what he wants. They do not want to hear it. They do not want to hear it. I don't know why he didn't want me to go to D.C., though. That's odd. You and your French. The French Army General. Here I am in Cape, though, so it's the French. What do I say to you? In New York. Drive around town. Do an experiment? No, I'm not gonna do that. Again, I don't know them, so they've went rogue. All the prisoners. Yeah, there's a lot of them probably. There's no reason for them to be there. Like, legitimately, other than you just don't want to look at them. If that's the reason, you just don't want to look at them, I guess. It goes right back at you, you know? So this, I guess, is a pad in New York somewhere that is being offered to me, which I don't know where this would be, because I've never had any kind of communication. The Grand Army, New York. I have no plans whatsoever. I'm literally just sitting here. I'm literally sitting here making the country, you know? By no means am I your servant whatsoever. I don't know what game I'm going to play, though. I don't know if I'm going to do it right after or what the deal is. How I'm going to do this. This should be interesting. Mr. Chansey? Mr. Chansey? Throw down Pokemon? Dude, I was getting pretty pissed off. They were being incredibly hostile. Incredibly hostile. The glass over here. What? Maybe we'll do this last one. We're at 2 hours, definitely. To George Washington, July 20th, 1781, and then we'll do a Bible verse, and so on. Since writing the enclosed, my dear General, an officer of Tarleton's Legion, who has been taken, was brought in to my quarters. He had much conversation with my aides de camp, and being an unguarded young man, spoke very freely. He says Lord Cornwallis and Colonel Tarleton are certainly going to New York. He adds the light infantry and a regiment of horse do certainly embark for the same place. Preference is given to such troops as were the most fatigued in their maneuvers through Virginia. He thinks the guards are to remain here, does not know the disposition of any other troops. I thought this was worth mentioning to you. Would to God this embarkation could be intercepted? I had this day seen the order of battle. It appears to I have seen this order of battle. It appears to me General St. Clair is not comprehended in it. The Jersey troops not being there are, I presume, destined to a diversion with the New Jersey militia. New England, or the whole body of the militia, will perhaps furnish some general's employment, so that I hope I may be put in. At all events, I would be with you, and of course would be very happy. Should the enemy remain quiet in this state, the Baron might do very well, but if the siege of New York does not succeed, and there is no peace, I imagine you will march here in force. Adieu, my dear General. You will not forget this letter is entirely private and by no means directed to the Commander-in-Chief. With every sentiment of respect and the most tender affection, I have the honor to be, my dear General, yours, Lafayette. In case there is no appearance of a move of the enemy and no propriety in our going towards Portsmouth, I intend reconnoitering the grounds about Fredericksburg, where if I am made certain nothing will happen in my absence, I may meet your letter. Who's this? Sir Henry Clinton, British commander, New York, whose orders and we'll stop there. A lot of thoughts going on there. I'll keep it to myself in private. Well, it's still. You know? Take from their wealth, O prophet, charity to purify and bless them, and pray for them. Surely your prayer is a source of comfort for them, and Allah is all hearing, all knowing. Do they not know that Allah alone accepts the repentance of his servants and receives their charity, and that Allah alone is the acceptor of repentance, most merciful? Tell them, O prophet, do as you will. Your deeds will be observed by Allah, his messenger, and the believers, and you will be returned to the knower of the seen and unseen. Then he will inform you of what you used to do. And some others are left for Allah's decision, either to punish them or to turn them in mercy, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. There are also those hypocrites who set up a mosque only to cause harm, promote disbelief, divide the believers, and as a base for those who had previously fought against Allah and his messenger, they will definitely swear, we intended nothing but good, but Allah bears witness that they are surely liars. Do not, O Prophet, ever pray in it. Certainly a mosque founded on a righteousness from the first day is more worthy of your prayers. In it are men who love to be purified, and Allah loves those who purify themselves. I need a bath. Draw me a bath, ladies. Which is better, those who laid the foundation of their building on the fear and pleasure of Allah, or those who did so on the edge of a crumbling cliff that tumbling down with them into the fire of hell? And Allah does not guide the wrong-doing people. The building which they erected will never cease to fuel hypocrisy in their hearts until their hearts are torn apart, and Allah is all-knowing, all-wise. Allah has indeed purchased from the believers their lives and wealth in exchange for paradise. They fight in the cause of Allah and kill or are killed. This is a true promise binding on him in the Torah, the Gospel, and the Quran, and whose promise is truer than Allah's. So rejoice in the exchange you have made with him. That is truly the ultimate triumph. It is the believers who repent, who are devoted to worship, who praise their Lord, who fast, who bow down and prostrate themselves, who encourage good and forbid evil, and who observe the limits set by Allah and give good news to the believers. It is not proper for the Prophet and the believers to seek forgiveness for the polytheists, even if they were close relatives, after it has become clear to the believers that they are bound for the hellfire. As for Abraham's prayer for his father's forgiveness, it was only in fulfillment of a promise he had made to him. But when it became clear to Abraham that his father was an enemy of Allah, he broke ties with him. Abraham was truly tender-hearted, forbearing. Allah would never consider a people deviant after he has guided them, until he makes clear to them what they must avoid. Surely Allah has full knowledge of everything. Indeed, to Allah alone belongs the kingdom of heavens and the earth. He gives life and causes death, and besides Allah you have no guardian or helper. Allah has certainly turned in mercy to the Prophet, as well as the emigrants and the helpers who stood by him in the time of hardship, after the hearts of a group of them had almost faltered. He then accepted their repentance. Surely he is ever gracious and most merciful to them. And Allah has also turned in mercy to the three who had remained behind, whose guilt distressed them until the earth, despite its vastness, seemed to close in on them, and their souls were torn in anguish. They knew there was no refuge from Allah except in him. Then he turned to them in mercy so that they might repent. Surely Allah alone is the acceptor of repentance, most merciful. O believers, be mindful of Allah and be with the truthful. It was not proper for the people of Medina and the nomadic Arabs around them to avoid marching with the Messenger of Allah, or to prefer their own lives above his. That is because whenever they suffer from thirst, fatigue, or hunger in the cause of Allah, or tread on a territory unnerving the disbelievers, or inflict any loss on an enemy, it is written to their credit as a good deed. Surely Allah never discounts the reward of the good doers. And whenever they make a donation, small or large, or cross a valley in Allah's cause, it is written to their credit, so that Allah may grant them the best reward for what they used to do. However, it is not necessary for the believers to march forth all at once. Only a party from each group should march forth, leaving the rest to gain religious knowledge, and then enlighten their people when they return to them, so that they too may beware of evil. I was just talking about that in my head. I was thinking, what book can I do from the Buddhist text? If I don't know any, I would have to look them up, and I would have just put my trust. I don't want to do a random one. I want to do the original. O believers, fight the disbelievers around you, and let them find firmness in you, and know that Allah is with those mindful of him. Whenever a surah is revealed, some of them ask mockingly, which of you has this increased in faith? As for the believers, it has increased them in faith, and they rejoice. The truth. But as for those with sickness in their hearts, it has increased them only in weakness upon their wickedness, and they die as disbelievers. I look pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. It's odd. I don't get sick. Do they not see that they are tried once or twice every year, yet they neither repent nor they do not learn a lesson? So I don't ever get sick, but I can feel a vampire. It's hard to explain. Whenever a surah is revealed, they look at one another saying, is anyone watching you? Then they slip away. It is Allah who has turned their hearts away because they are people who do not comprehend. There certainly has come to you a messenger from among yourselves. He is concerned by your suffering, anxious for your well-being, and gracious and merciful to the believers. But if they turn away, then say, O Prophet, Allah is sufficient for me. There is no God worthy of worship except him. In him I put my trust, and he is the Lord of the mighty throne. That's the end of 9. Al-Taba. I'll end it at that, and we'll move on. Yeah. Again, though, a lot of things happen all at once. I'll be honest with you, in that moment. It's like you can put on the mask, ladies, as I read the Quran. You know what I mean? They're taking off the mask, and it's like, growing up here, now that I've seen this, I would rather have a mask on, to be honest. Again, we were talking about the anatomy, the doctors there, the Grey's Anatomy, the affairs. Everybody turns doctor. You know what I mean? All the Shakespeares. Not far from. It's not hard, really. It's like, okay. It's like, why is that moon? Why does Jupiter have 9 moons and why does Earth have 1 moon? You know what I mean? It's like everybody has their part to play. Some are better than others. Anyway, it's like we're there, but it's like after like 5,000 years of alchemy and research, the fathers have made it easy for us. I don't know what to tell you. Psalm 107. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so, whom he hath redeemed from the hand of the enemy, and gathered them out of the lands from the east and from the west, from the north and from the south. They wandered in the wilderness in a solitary way. They found no city to dwell in. Hungry and thirsty, their soul fainted in them. Then they cried out unto the Lord in their trouble, and he delivered them out of their distresses. And he laid them forth by the right way, that they might go to a city of habitation. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness, and for his wonderful works to the children of men. For he satisfieth the longing soul, and filleth the hungry soul with goodness. Such as sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, being bound in affliction and iron, because they rebelled against the words of God, and contempt the counsel of the Most High. Therefore he brought down their heart with labor. They fell down, and there was none to help. Then they cried unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saved them out of their distresses. He brought them out of darkness and the shadow of death, and brake their bands in sunder. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness, and for his wonderful works to the children of men. For he hath broken the gates of brass, and cut the bars of iron in sunder. Fools, because of their transgression, and because of their iniquities, are afflicted. Their soul abhorreth all manner of meat, and they draw near unto the gates of death. Then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he saveth them out of their distresses. He sent his word, and healed them, and delivered them from their destructions. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness, and for the wonderful works to the children of men. You honor your father, and let them sacrifice the sacrifices of thanksgiving, and declare his works with rejoicing. They that go down to the sea in ships, that do business in great waters, these see the works of the Lord, and his wonders in the deep. For he commandeth and raiseth the stormy wind, which lifteth up the waves thereof. They mount up to the heavens, they go down again to the depths. Their soul is melted because of trouble. They reel to and fro, and stagger like a drunken man, and are at their wits' end. Then they cry unto the Lord in their trouble, and he bringeth them out of their distresses. He maketh the storm a call, so that the waves thereof are still. Then are they glad, because they be quiet. So he bringeth them unto the desired haven. Oh, that men would praise the Lord for his goodness, and for his wonderful works to the children of men. Let them exalt him also in the congregation of the people, and praise him in the assembly of elders. He turneth rivers into wilderness, and the water springs into dry ground. A fruitful land into barrenness for the wickedness of them that dwell therein. He turneth the wilderness into a standing water, and dry ground into water springs. And there he maketh the hungry to dwell, that they may prepare a city for habitation, and sow the fields, and plant vineyards, which may yield fruits of increase. He blesseth them also, so they are multiplied greatly, and suffereth not their cattle to decrease. Again, they are minished and brought low through oppression, affliction, and sorrow. He poureth contempt upon princes, and causeth them to wander in the wilderness, where there is no way. Yet setteth he the poor on high from affliction, and maketh him families like a flock. The righteous shall see it, and rejoice, and all iniquity shall stop her mouth. Whoso is wise, and will observe these things, even they shall understand the loving kindness of the Lord. I zoned out there for a second in the mid-speech. Not gonna lie to you, I went off yonder. Oh my gosh. I had to stretch it out on that one. I'm not even gonna lie. That was like dumb, like Gandalf and the Balrog. I just went out. It started. Where did it start? They cry out. They sit there, and then they had. That's where it started. Oh my gosh. You and your bat call here. You want me to explain it? So it's like was it Restless Anchorage? The cool art that I have? It's like that, but the dude's standing at the top with a rod, and he's, it's like a bat call, but you can see like the wave. He's basically, it's like mind control, basically what it is. And then you have me. It's like it zooms in on the building there, and he's sitting there like you hear the bat call. That's crazy. That's where it started. That's wild. As I'm reading, like, that's like an out-of-body experience. I'll do one more. Psalm 108, a song or psalm of David. O God, my heart is fixed. I will sing and give praise, even with my glory. Awake, psaltery and harp. I myself will awake early. I will praise thee, O Lord, among the people, and I will sing praises unto thee among the nations. For thy mercy is great above the heavens, and thy truth reacheth unto the clouds. Be thou exalted, O God, above the heavens, and thy glory above all the earth. That thy beloved may be delivered. Save with thy right hand, and answer me. God hath spoken in his holiness. I will rejoice. I will divide Shishim and meat and out of the valley of Succoth. Gilead is mine. Manasseh is mine. Ephraim also is the strength of mine head. Judah is my lawgiver. Moab is my washpot. Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Over Philistia will I triumph. Who will bring me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Wilt not thou, O God, who hast cast us off, and wilt not thou, O God, go forth with our host? Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man. Through God we shall do valiantly, for he it is that shall tread down our enemies. At Edom will I cast out my shoe. So Edom would be Egypt. That would be the graveyard. They will cast them out, the grave. Moab is my washpot. I don't see. If you go through, you can start with Edom and go from there. It's like a puzzle. You know what we did in school? The critical thinking puzzles? It's a parable is what he's doing. The riddle. Process of elimination. You have one piece of information, now you have to go from there and figure out the rest. He's teaching you a lesson here. Psalm 109. To the chief musician, a psalm of David. Hold not thy peace, O God, of my praise. For the mouth of the wicked and the mouth of the deceitful are open against me. They have spoken against me with a lying tongue. They compassed me about also with words of hatred, and fought against me without a cause. For my love they are my adversaries, but I give myself unto prayer. And they have rewarded me evil for good, and hatred for my love. Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. When he shall be judged, let him be condemned, and let his prayer become sin. Let his days be few, and let another take his office. Let his children be fatherless, and his wife a widow. Let his children be continually vagabonds, and beg, and I triggered him, and beg, and let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. Let the extortioner catch all that he hath, and let the stranger spoil his labor. Let there be none to extend mercy unto him, neither let there be any to favor his fatherless children. Let his posterity be cut off, and in the generation following let their name be blotted out. Let the iniquity of his fathers be remembered with the Lord, and let not the sin of his mother be blotted out. Let them be before the Lord continually, that he may cut off the memory of them from the earth. Because that he remembered not to shew mercy, but persecuted the poor and needy man, that he might even slay the broken in heart. As he loved cursing, so let it come unto him. As he delighted not in blessing, so let it be far from him. As he clothed himself with cursing like as with his garment, so let it come into his bowels like water, and like oil into his bones. Let it be unto him as a garment which covereth him, and for a girdle wherewith he is girded continually. Let this be the reward of mine adversaries from the Lord, and of them that we speak evil against my soul. But do thou for me, O God, the Lord, for thy name's sake, because thy mercy is good, deliver thou me. For I am poor and needy, and my heart is wounded within me. I am gone like the shadow. When it declineth, I am tossed up and down as a locust. My knees are weak through fasting, my flesh faileth of fatness. I become also reproach unto them. When they look upon, they shake their heads. Help me, O Lord my God, O save me according to thy mercy, that they may know that this is thy hand, that thou, O Lord, hast done it. Let them curse, but bless thou when they arise. Let them be ashamed, but let thy servant rejoice. Let mine adversaries be clothed with shame, and let them cover themselves with their own confusion as with a mantle. No. I will greatly praise the Lord with my mouth, yea, I will praise him among the multitude. For he shall stand at the right hand of the poor, to save him from those that condemn his soul. Dude, the first thing that pops in my head. Oh my gosh. And like, dude, I don't know why I would think of this. South Park the movie, I think, or what is it, Team America. Kim Jong-un, or his father in Team America. It's the first thing that pops in my head. The puppets. But then when I think of his son, I don't see that. There's a difference. I've thought about it. This is the first thing that pops in my head. As soon as that ended, the first. Team America, Kim Jong-un on stage. Or his father, excuse me, I don't even remember. It's been so long. I was a kid. I don't even the memory there. I just remember his son. That's how big of a difference it is. By no means here. I'm going to have to replace that with that. Clayton, what did she say? Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. Oh, I see. Moses. This is a parable. Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. He split the Red Sea. That's Moses. I'll one-shot your ass. Hold on. I heard that and I was like, hold on, let me finish this. I'll be right back. As soon as I said it. Ugh. So this is Moses, definitely. I lost my track of my thought, though. Damn it. I mean, no disrespect, but that's definitely... So I believe when Moses was speaking at the very beginning, he said, by believing in me, what did they say? I forgot his exact words, but basically, this was Christ, I think it was. He basically said, by following me, it's like a mirror of you. He basically told you, if you're going to follow me, I'm going to talk down to you. If you recall and go back to it. Both of them said it. Moses and if you go to the New Testament, it would be Jesus and the disciples. So that's this. Set thou a wicked man over him, and let Satan stand at his right hand. So he's talking about me. I'm never wrong. I'm God here. He's talking about the ark. Clayton, you need to replace that. And let Clayton stand at his right hand. The king has the ark. Moses. So let's be clear here. I read it and was like, hold on. Let me clarify here. I don't know what you're talking about at all, as far as that is concerned. Now that I'm back. So we're going to go back to the religious text here, the test card. This is my own parable for me. Just for me. As I sit up straight, puff out my chest. Chesterfield here. Sir Lafayette. My family members. Surely if you follow me, you will be defeated. He's basically saying, I'm a mirror of you. I'm going to reflect what you do to me is what I do to you. And by doing so, you cannot be defeated. And so he's basically saying here, by having me sit at the right hand, they cannot be defeated. It's hard to explain. They get mad. A wicked man, they get wicked because of it. They're supposed to be the king, and I basically dethrone them is what it is. I think he's talked about that as the devil, the three kings that he dethrones or kills. This would be that. This would be Moses, the parable. I do remember that. I forgot. I don't remember where, but I do remember it. Hold on. I'll be right back to you, sir. Here, excuse me for a second. Let me burn some offering here. Talk about you and your... It's poetry is what it is. Woe is me. Woe is me. That reminds me, in the movie, The King's Speech, whenever his teacher's at the throne, he's like, "Oh, woe is me. Send me to jail." That's basically what she's doing right there. She is doing. Woe is me. Whoever sends to the wicked man sits next to Clayton here. He's the all-knowing. He sees all. As I move away from John and the Quran, his son, David and Solomon. The Quran, Solomon. He's in prison right now. I got you, bro. I have all the answers, basically, and they get mad because of it. Even for them, like he's speaking here, and I'm calling the king out. He turned around and said, "Damn it, dude! Will you shut up? You're revealing my secrets, bro. Come on." Me and my hyena. I don't know what to tell you there. I call it like I see it. I am no fool. There's a debt owed. I'll shut up when that debt's paid. Truly. Really. Enjoy my video game over here and my magic. That's what that is. Woe is me for speaking my mind. I have no plans. Again, rule number 1, don't make plans. I live by it. That'd be my mantra, dude. We're going to go to the Buddhist text next. Rule number 1, do not make plans. Nirvana right here. I don't know what to say. The food, though. That's the only plan that I'll throw down. Rule number 1. You got to eat. Rule number 1, The patience is in the plant. I thought about the locust. They didn't have enough seeds. I want to know how that went down. You gotta think, like, no tools or anything. He has a rod. My shovel. They made a shovel. Because they didn't have anything. I don't know what to say. You got me there, Adam. I'll give you that one. Whoever the first one who did that, you got me there. I'll be honest. That's a hard one. The locust, you had me at that. I'm still here. You had me at the locust. Alright. Alright, bro. I really don't have much to complain about, I guess. The locust. Tell me, Satan, get that out of here. And then he goes and he changes. It's like, oh, wait. I was talking about this guy. Sir. So over here on Edom would be would be Egypt. As you progress here, blasphemy. Tell me anything. The city of David. The sheesh. Gosh, get off my back, bro. All right, one more. Psalm 110, a psalm of David. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand, until I make thy enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, and the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast the dew of thy youth. The Lord hath sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord at thy right hand. You want to bet me on that? The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the days of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the heads over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up the head. These are all short and sweet. I almost want to keep going. We're at 3 hours. This is one of my longer ones. We're getting good. The dead bodies. I went through this in my playlist, and that's for the military. I'm going to talk to the military here of today, because this is something, and I thought about it, I can think about it, and I can see what they're doing. Again, I don't know how to explain it. Einstein. I can literally see them doing it. Maybe that's what it is. The Russian doll. So you would literally have to do this yourself in order to do the science. So he's killing people with the rods, he's murdering them, and then he's taking the rods and dipping the blood of each. The congregation and the 24 judges, the judgments. So he's taken the entire earth. They've gathered all the different trees, all the different ethnicities. So they basically took all of those and took a sacrifice, it sounds to me, or maybe like a goat. Anyway, I don't know how they would have done it. So they would have dipped that rod into the blood of whatever it is, and then since we're in Psalms here, right? The music, and then they start banging the rods. And then from there they can start figuring out, doing the science behind the alchemy, whatever it is. You can do the math from there. You know what I mean? That's basically what he's talking about. So now, 3,000 years later, 80,000 years later, the people who would have, I've mentioned this, I said this, they have hidden knowledge on paper. It is on the end, Resident Evil 8, The Village, when Chris goes down to the basement where she's locked up, she has all the paperwork laid out on the wall. It would be no different than that, but with this, the Bible. The actual from Moses. I'll continue here. This is getting interesting now that you mentioned that. I'm taking out kings. Excuse me for a second. unintentional, but it's like, dude, you're being obvious. Psalm 111. Praise ye the Lord. I will praise the Lord with my whole heart, in the assembly of the upright and in the congregation. The works of the Lord are great, sought out of all them that have pleasure therein. No thanks, dude. You're crazy. So then when you take this, like, now you can do the math from there on these computers. His work is honorable and glorious, and his righteousness endureth forever. He hath made his wonderful works to be remembered. The Lord is gracious and full of compassion. He hath given meat unto them that fear him. He will ever be mindful of his covenant. He hath shewed his people the power of his works, that he may give them the heritage of the heathen. The works of his hands are verity and judgment. All his commandments are sure. They stand fast forever and ever, and are done in truth and uprightness. He sent redemption unto his people. He hath commanded his covenant forever. Holy and reverend is his name. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all they that do his commandments. His praise endureth forever. Psalm 112. Praise ye the Lord. Blessed is the man that feareth the Lord, that delighteth greatly in his commandments. Now you're talking about the pilots, Augustus, as you talking about Augusta. I have my suspicions over here, and you and your bean. I don't know what you're doing. I mean you no harm. I'm playing a game. What the fuck you're doing? Traveling the galaxy. That's cool and all. It's like, I'm not a desperate man. His seed shall be mighty upon earth. The generation of the upright shall be blessed. Wealth and riches shall be in his house, and his righteousness endureth forever. Unto the upright there ariseth light in the darkness. He is gracious and full of compassion and righteous. A good man sheweth favor, and lendeth. He will guide his affairs with discretion. Surely he shall not be moved forever. The righteous shall be in everlasting remembrance. He shall not be afraid of evil tidings. His heart is fixed, trusting in the Lord. His heart is established. He shall not be afraid until he sees his desire upon his enemies. He hath dispersed. He hath given to the poor. His righteousness endureth forever. His horn shall be exalted with honor. The wicked shall see it, and be grieved. He shall gnash with his teeth, and melt away. The desire of the wicked shall perish. Psalm 113. Praise ye the Lord. Praise, O ye servants of the Lord. Praise the name of the Lord. Blessed be the name of the Lord from this time forth and forevermore. From the rising of the sun unto the going down of the same, the Lord's name is to be praised. The Lord is high above all nations, and his glory above the heavens. Who is like unto the Lord our God, who dwelleth on high? Who humbleth himself to behold the things that are in heaven and in the earth? He raiseth up the poor out of the dust, and lifteth the needy out of the dunghill, that he may set him with princes, even with the princes of his people. He maketh the barren woman to keep house, and to be a joyful mother of children. Praise ye the Lord. Psalm 114. When Israel went out of Egypt, the house of Jacob from a people of strange language, Judah was his sanctuary, and Israel his dominion. The sea saw it and fled. Jordan was driven back. The mountains skipped like rams, and the little hills like lambs. What ailed thee, O thou sea, that thou fleddest? Thou Jordan, that thou wast driven back? Ye mountains, that ye skipped like rams, and ye little hills like lambs. She blamed me for stealing money that I didn't steal. Tremble thou earth at the presence of the Lord, at the presence of the God of Jacob, which turned the rock into a standing water, the flint to a fountain of waters. Yeah, he tried to blame me for something that I didn't do. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know what to tell you. Psalm 115. Not unto us, O Lord, not unto us, but unto thy name give glory for thy mercy and for thy truth's sake. Wherefore should the heathen say, Where is now their God? But our God is in the heavens. He hath done whatsoever he hath pleased. Their idols are silver and gold, and work from men's hands. They have mouths, but they speak not. Eyes have they, but they see not. They have ears, but they hear not. Noses have they, but they smell not. They have hands, but they handle not. Feet have they, but they walk not. Neither speak they through their throat. They that make them are like unto them. So is every one that trusteth in them. The nose. O Israel, trust thou in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. O house of Aaron, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. Ye that fear the Lord, trust in the Lord. He is their help and their shield. The Lord hath been mindful of us. He will bless us. He will bless this house of Israel. He will bless the house of Aaron. He will bless them that fear the Lord, both small and great. The Lord shall increase you more and more, you and your children. Ye are blessed of the Lord, which made heaven and earth. The heaven, even the heavens, are the Lord's, but the earth hath he given to the children of men. The dead praise not the Lord, neither any that go down into silence. But we will bless the Lord from this time forth and forevermore. Praise the Lord. He puts my name right there. We're getting to the end, all his transgressions. I cast him down. He's being negative right now. He's mocking me. Psalm 116. I love the Lord, because he hath heard my voice and my supplications. Because he hath inclined his ear unto me, therefore I will call upon him as long as I live. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell gat hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. Then called I upon the name of the Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee, deliver my soul. Gracious is the Lord, and righteous, yea, our God is merciful. The Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. Return unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountiful with thee. For thou hast delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, and my feet from falling. I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I believe, therefore, have I spoken. I was greatly afflicted. I said in my haste, All men are liars. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? I will take the cup of salvation, and call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows unto the Lord, and now in the presence of all his people. Precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. O Lord, truly I am thy servant, and the son of thy handmaid. Thou hast loosed my bonds. I will offer to thee the sacrifice of thanksgiving, and will call upon the name of the Lord. I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of all his people, in the courts of the Lord's house, in the midst of thee, O Jerusalem, pray ye the Lord. Psalm 117. O praise the Lord, all you nations, praise him, all you people, for his merciful kindness is great toward us, and the truth of the Lord endureth forever. Praise ye the Lord. Not the Master Chief here. Okay, so we're to Thomas Nelson, Malvern Hill, 21st July, 1781. Sir, the assembly of this commonwealth, sensible of the dangers which for want of cavalry threaten this and neighboring state, were pleased to empower me under certain restrictions to have such horses and such a number of horses impressed I would think necessary for that service. From motives of delicacy and tenderness for the rights of the people, I took the liberty to request you, when Brigadier General and commanding the militia, to have the matter carried into execution, in hopes that your knowledge of particular persons and your zeal for the liberties of the citizens would as much as possible render the mode of impress suitable to their feelings. The same motives induced me not to meddle into this matter farther than to represent and wholly to let it rest with the executive, which no doubt is the properest channel. I beg leave to propose that a general return be asked for of horses that have been impressed. Few have been taken by my orders. Some have been impressed by Major Nelson, some by the Quartermaster General in the field. Colonel White had your approbation to impress a number. Those gentlemen will be directed to send proper returns to your Excellency. As to the employment of the said horses, part have already been attributed to the cavalry service, part in the mounting field officers whom on their embarkation the commander-in-chief allowed to receive public horses, their own having been disposed of in the beginning of the winter, and every means of transporting or subsisting them being refused, the general thought it be just they should be furnished with public horses. Some other purposes too tedious to be minutely mentioned in the letter have also obliged me to make use of impressed horses. And the number is but small, and has very little weight in the general scale. What is important is to know where the horses impressed by your excellencies or my orders have been deposited and examined into the just causes of complaint of some inhabitants. I apprehend many horses have been impressed by volunteers who not only had no authority but are utterly unknown to me, and to your excellency I gave the late governor a copy of my general orders on the occasion, and requested him to have them printed and sent to the several counties. Independent of these horses, there is a great quantity of accoutrements belonging to the continent and to the state and the several counties. The greatest abuses have been committed on this head by volunteers. I take the liberty to request that every part of public accoutrements be ordered to Charlottesville, and in case of non-obedience, coercive measures taken by the executive. It would also be well that in paying in a due compliment to such volunteer dragoons as have been embodied in the army, your excellency would forbid the appearance of such volunteers as refuse to acknowledge a commander. I have the honor to be with great respect your excellency most obedient humble servant Lafayette. They're basically saying if you don't listen, you're disobeying direct orders from like a court perspective, because it's like the whole foundation of the country, you know what I mean? This is would tie into the Declaration of Independence. It's almost like a period, you know what I mean, at the end of these letters, because Lafayette's the general of the American Revolution, you know what I mean? It's like a sentiment. To Anthony Wayne, Malvern Hill, July 21st, 1781. My dear sir, every account from below confirms the intelligence of an embarkation. How large it will be we cannot as yet find out. The light infantry and some horse are surely going to New York. At all events, it will not be prudent that you leave the state until we know more of this intended embarkation. Indeed, before you proceed, the fleet ought to be on the other side of the capes. Your position at Goodsbridge, if convenient for subsistence and forage, appears to me as good as any. It protects that side of the river, and being united to General Morgan, you have none to fear but those from whom you may retire. The Maryland volunteers, Nelson's horse, and your exertions for intelligences appear to suffice to your safety. The more so as if a body of the enemy comes to you, it must be a superior one, and of course there will be no hesitation in the retreat. The objection I have to your return is that should you afterward go to Carolina, it will give your men a great deal of unnecessary trouble and fatigue, and should the enemy come this way, you may easily recross at Toccoa, where I wish the boats to be collected and platforms made upon tobacco canoes. I gave orders to Major Jones on that point. I am afraid some miscarriage has happened to a small ticket concerning your baggage. Write me, my dear sir, how you are at Goodsbridge, if you have lately lost any men by desertion. If you think the place affords refreshment in 2 or 3 days, we must know that the enemy have determined, and of course we may decide what movements and dispositions we ought to make. I request you will present my compliments to the officers with you, and believe me with the most sincere esteem and attachment. So nowadays you're talking about science, bro, and these inventions. As we were talking about the inventions, as we go through these books here, so you guys, like, there's no phones. You guys are more. You guys are like a pack of hyenas, as I mentioned that, like literally in the sense, like you're in a pack. Not you're knocking on doors, like it doesn't matter. Like you're waking them up in the morning. You know what I mean? So it's a little bit more secluded as far as that goes. It's very easy to communicate in other ways, and so you kind of lose that sense of touch. It's kind of what it is. You know what I mean? So that's where that cell network comes into play. It's not like a pack of hyenas nowadays, you know what I mean? It's mine. That's what I'm saying. If that's what your answer is, if that's what you're wanting. You know what I mean? If we wanted to sleep with the men, we'd sleep with the men. We do not. So that's kind of where you're at. We're not getting in a pack here, as was mentioned and warned about. If that's what you're referring to. The baggage, by no means. As I'm relieved, by no means was I worried about it, and I'll tell you about it. You know, don't break my heart. Don't waste my time. Argentina. You know what I'm saying? Get back. Don't hit me with all that. It's not cool. Put that mask on. Problems. It's cool, you know, no one's getting in your face, so here I am doing these books. But if I'm not gonna get harassed, the coercion. I mean, if you want to get into it, the tools is, again, making laws around tools. There's so many different ways. Oh my god! I think my alien friend just pointed that out last night. Like there are other ways to do this. You're basically like you're pulling the rug out from under people with the tools. And like mandatory. I'll face it all small. They've realized what's going on here. As we talk about the president. I mean, either way. I mean, it's all good. It's all good. You know what I mean? Not cool. Separate those two. Not really what I'm trying to hear. I definitely see arguments, but you do you. You have yours, I have mine. To Thomas Nelson, Malvern Hill, 22nd July, 1781. Sir, it is with sincere concern that I find myself obliged once more to trouble your excellency and counsel on the affair of horses. But the fate of this state, of the southern part of the continent, perhaps of the cause we are fighting for, and the independence of the 13 states are so immediately concerned. And having the honor to command the army in Virginia, I think it my duty to use every representation in my power. The affair of horses. Okay. I don't know what to tell you there. As my name's written on the ground. So if you want to go from personal opinion, so over here you have this man handing child away, and then over here this man is like, really? You're not going to? Do you see the difference? If we're talking about affairs and stuff. That's cool that they had that provision, but it's like, that's awkward. Really? I have more like animal instincts, so that's where I'm at. with the deer head there. On planet Earth. Now you know. It breaks my heart, but here we have this observation, and over here we have this observation. And so for me, it doesn't really make sense. In fact, it's out of spite completely, and like there is damage being done as far as the country is concerned. You know what I mean? You have yours, I have mine. I don't know what to tell you. The affair of horses. Fighting for and the independence of the 13 states. Yeah, definitely. Like, if you go back and look, definitely. But at the same time, more than disrespectful. And it's like, okay, the answer's no, period. I will do something about it. You know what I mean? I think they made laws on that, so. On the, Your Excellency and Council on the Affairs of Horses. Very well done. I don't know what to say. You have yours, I have mine. Just so we're clear here and so everybody's aware. Oh, by the way. It looks really bad. You know what I mean? It looks really bad. I had something else I was going to say, but I forgot what it was. The war aspect. The hyenas. The pack of hyenas coming through. It's more automated, I'll tell you that. You're in a line here. The groups, church. The odd thing about that is I'm the one who wrote it. So it's kind of like when they do that, this is awkward. This is really awkward for me. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to break your heart. You know what I mean? Because you... my animal instincts here have kicked in. And says that's not okay. But anyway, I don't know what to tell you. You have yours, and I have mine. And so here's the perspective on Earth. Over here, you have this observation, handing it away. On this observation, not even a little bit. Nobody. Anybody? He like looks up a question like, guys? You see? So, I will leave it at that. The time has been where private virtue and private exertions might have prevented the enemies getting such a large and excellent body of cavalry. This time is no more unless public exertions give us an equality we are utterly ruined. Such has been the sense of the assembly when they empowered me to impress any number of horses. Such is the opinion of General Washington, who from our inferiority of horse has felt the greatest anxieties on our account. Such is the idea of General Greene, who being sensible he and I must be ruined unless our cavalry is equal to that of the enemy, has directed me to take every horse fit for dragoon service that might possibly be seized. Not that he has the least notion of trifling with the properties of inhabitants, but because there is but one choice and an immediate one to make, either give up horses or give up every one thing that men hold dear, which the enemy's cavalry will enable them to take. Give me leave to represent to your excellency this matter is very serious. We have hitherto been lucky, but particularly during our retreat, had the enemy's cavalry been conducted by Colonel Washington, Colonel Lee, Major Call, or some of our officers, I could name, the retreating army, in spite of a general, should have been brought to action and perhaps into ruin. In our present circumstances, there can be no partial defeat to us, no total defeat to them. In a word, without cavalry one day may loose the work of a campaign. Virginia has 2 regiments of horse in the Continental Army, and surely they must first be completed. See, I don't want that. They already have it connected, and the answer is no. Whoever it shows in that arc, I promise you, is not going to end well for you. Without going further, permit me to examine the new mode your excellency has pointed out to produce horses. There is no time fixed. Horses are to be impressed by men who have no personal inducement to get good ones and have personal inducements to spare their best horses. Should these horses prove bad, the mounting of the cavalry is at end, and at the least there is much time lost. See the pack of hyenas here. Hey, again, do what you think you're going to do. Independent of Colonel White's horses, and I think he is nearly complete, Washington's regiment will require 200. It is from conviction and experience that I assure your excellency that unless the procuring of horses is left with the officers, the state and the continent at large would be disappointed should they expect from this regiment those services which the talents of the commander seem to promise. Cavalry is a peculiar service. The best men, the best arms, if indifferently mounted, become a prey to much inferior men upon good horses. I beg leave to propose that the care of impressing or purchasing, which last mode is in the end cheaper, be left with Major Call, and in the same time I make the liberty to insist upon it as a point essential to the safety of the Southern States. We're talking women here. I do make myself answerable for good conduct of the Major in the execution of his orders. I also beg leave to request that the 100 horses, in addition to those of Washington, the disposal of it is left with me, be impressed by Captain Rudolph of Colonel Lee's Legion. That legion must be filled up and cannot possibly be so but in Virginia. This is not an affair of duty in the state, but an affair of choice, which I beg leave to solicit for her own sake. The more so I expect Colonel Lee will come this way, and upon this supply of horses, which by direction of General Greene I take the liberty to request for that legion, to depend the properties of 200 inhabitants, and probably the fate of a battle. Should your excellency and council agree in opinion with me, I think no time is to be lost in giving Major Call and Captain Rudolph proper instructions. But should the first plan be preferred, I confess I will entirely lose the hope of obtaining an equality with the enemy's cavalry. And this opinion I partake with the General Washington and General Greene. You know my temper, sir, and my principles. You know that I abhor the very shadow of arbitrary power, and that I feel for the distresses of the people. But I cannot help warmly recommending the only means I see to stop the ravages of the enemy, and confirming the good fortune we had of inducing them to abandon what they had possessed and confine themselves within narrower bounds. I shall most certainly inquire into the abuses that have been committed, and my letter of yesterday more fully enters into that matter. With the highest respect, I have the honor to be your excellency's most obedient, humble servant, Lafayette. There, he laid it out for you. Talking about women. I'm not doing it that way at all. Dude, I'm the one who wrote it. That's real. I don't know what to tell you. I don't care about you at all. So that would be the original version here. That's all I have to say about it. So you can sit here and do this and that and come up with some conspiracy theory documentary and do whatever the fuck you think you're gonna do. I really don't care at all. You turned me off. I don't know what to tell you. You pissed me off. I mean, that's going on, but even that's that can be solved easily. You gonna keep following me around everywhere I go? You keep talking shit? Oh, there he is. He's going to work. No, not doing that at all. No, we're not at all. I promise you. He tried shaking the screen, yes, with the plasma there. No, we are not doing that at all. Most rest assured, we are not doing it your way. Because I've experienced it, and I have the experience, and I would be the original founding father here. And I'm just flat out telling you you're lying on camera. What we're not going to do here. Period. They need to be removed from that. And he's telling you right here, the people with this plasma access, they need to be removed. Fighting, definitely there's going to be fighting. I'm not asking. It's a motion thing is what it is. July 1st, August 29th. Like, I'm the reason you have this country, part of. Every step of the way. They had their own attachment to the TV is what it is. It's outside of the computer. As you don't have access to a warrant, here, let me sign a warrant and get inside of their homes. I'm positive you have a device attached to my TV outside of the computer. It is using the plasma through the windows here. Using light. Positive. Get it off. It's being removed, I can tell. Fully enters into the matter with the highest respect. I shall most certainly inquire into the abuses that have been committed by my letter of yesterday. More fully enters. See, the pack of hyenas. It's like, okay. Especially if you're gonna flat out, I think we've already went through that earlier. You've assaulted my mind. It's kind of what it is when you flat out lie. It's like, okay, dude. Really? Get out my stuffed animal spooky over here. The liar versus non-liar. You bitch. Take this. Take this, bitch. You see the difference? What you're not going to do. That's not even I'm not even worried about that. That's not even a problem. The abuses, that's not even an issue at all. That's funny. No, it's like fucking, what is it? What can I compare it to? Dude, it's his own thing. No, it's all good. It's all good. And then here it goes. Here they come. Here they come. Everybody sees it. The hyenas. I mean, it's gravy until that moment. And then it's like, no. At all. Do not. Put that mask on. Go ahead and cover your face. Walk the other way. You have yours, I have mine. It's like, I hear you, definitely. Put my foot down. Smash the snake. Like, stop doing this shit. Prim and proper over here. It's really even not. Talking women with the the generals here. What's the deal? What's the problem, sir? I'm calling you on your bullshit is what I'm doing. I picked up on the pattern there. There's like a little, this is a little too frequent. For no reason at all. I have a certain way of doing things, and it's like you go against the grain. Someone's pulling you away. You know what I mean? It's like I'm about me over here. Like I got my own bubble, my own things going on here. I am no fool. You can go ahead and like, don't even bring the friend, you know what I mean? Don't even bother. And they had like some eye movement going on there with like some woman, and I was like, I promise you, whoever it shows in that arc, whatever it shows. I'll be an ass about it, I promise you. twiddle my thumbs, like anxious. As you mentioned, you guys are doing your own little research, George. Fuck you. Stop moving the screen. I'm not really trying to talk like that at all. Which is exactly what you're doing. It's an attachment that you have. I would assume it's no different than planet Earth looking above at the atmosphere. So, dealing with delusional fanatics. Are we at 4 hours almost? Damn, dude, we're making some good time. Hopefully there's no problems. Hope everything works out. They should be going good. The bonds of confinement. Let me... I don't know what to tell you. Make it all dramatic. Here, let me just do everything for you. Let me do everything. Which has been done. Which has been done. Oh, I still got some, dude. My plantation over here. Let's continue. Nathaniel Green. Talking about green. I'm not worried about green. Everybody trying to get mean about it. Oh, that's good. Damn. All the provisions here. For one man, I just ate all that. That's really good too. Talking about jobs here. He's trying to give me the loans and stuff for what I need. I mean, that's kind of where you're at though. I don't tell you. Trying to surprise me out of nowhere. Nah, I'm good on all that, dude. You have yours, I have mine. We'll see. We will see. I wasn't really trying to wait. Yeah, I'm not really trying to do all that. Whatever it shows in there, you can go ahead and not count on it. I want to see it, and that way we can go ahead and just solve that issue. Really? I really don't know what to say, dude. I have lots of words. Boys, you're talking over here, and I'm thinking magic decks. I'll be honest. Definitely not running game. We're not doing any of it. The way you're doing it, I'm good on it. So over here we have this. Versus this, you know what I mean? Pro-life over here. However, Mm-hmm. Pack of wolves over here. The pick of the litter, like I was supposed to. like I'm not the head here. You enjoy that. Again, I don't know what to tell you. I used to enjoy your company, and then it was like, okay. Not that I don't do anything, but the tools, dude. The tools. You're talking about like college. You know what I mean? I don't just. I think that's like a big argument, like with the internet and stuff like that. I have no opinion. I live a very humble life. I'll be honest. I'm like, dude, I'm like over here in Hobbiton, the Shire. Like for the most, as far as I am concerned right now. In this moment. Like, okay. Doesn't really make sense, but okay. They come up with these little sayings and stuff. Headquarters, High Hills, Santee, July 22nd, 1781. A Sadducee? My dear Marquis, your dispatch by Mr. Carlyle arrived night before last. I am very happy you have not hazarded a general action. Your great dependence must have been on your infantry, the Pennsylvania line, and the Virginia drafts, and should those have got cut to pieces and the militia dispersed, the enemy with their superior cavalry would have overrun the country, nor could you, after a capital misfortune, have collected another body of militia, and if you could have, would have been impossible to harm them. Had you had a very large body of militia with you, and could have engaged without exposing your regular troops too much, and by engaging you had a prospect of crippling the enemy with little loss of your permanent force, I should have had no objection to the measure, for I have the highest confidence in the Virginia militia. But as your militia were not numerous, and as your collective force was little superior, if any, to that of the enemy, and greatly inferior in cavalry, I think the line of conduct you have pursued much the most prudent, and will reflect the highest honor on your command in the opinion of every man who has the least pretensions to give his judgment upon the matter. Excuse me for a second. I'll burp it out here. Here they go. Here goes little bitch, starting in. They're talking about me though, the perfect man from Da Vinci. Hey, you do you. You have yours, I have mine. I wrote you in my letter of the 17th to forward the Pennsylvania line and the Virginia drafts should the enemy embark their force now operating in Virginia, which I think is highly probable, as I cannot suppose they retired merely to avoid inaction. If Lord Cornwallis should cross James River and push into North Carolina, you will follow him, leaving a body of militia to watch the motions of the garrison of Portsmouth. I don't think this is probable, but it is possible if our operations are going on against New York. I am persuaded the enemy will relinquish their plan of reducing Virginia and confine themselves to the preservation of that garrison and the recovery of the southern states. This is all they can hope for, especially as affairs in the West Indies are in a bad way. If anything should have happened by which the attack meditating against New York should have failed, the Lord Cornwallis continued to prosecute his operations in Virginia. You will not detach any of your force this way. We will try to hold your ground with what force we have, and when rejoined by the Marylanders and the prisoners exchanged belonging to Maryland and North South Carolina, not without hopes of being able to give the enemy battle. You must take every possible measure in your power to increase your cavalry. As Colonel Washington's regiment is in distress for want of clothing and every necessary, and is of itself very small, you will please to tell Major Call to follow the colonel's orders. The enemy have here not less than 400 horse, and are taking every measure in their power to increase them. With you, I am told they have illegible word a greater number. It is necessary, therefore, that the utmost attention should be paid to our cavalry. Maryland, I am told, is about to furnish a great number of horses. If so, you may get a supply there to complete Colonel White's and Moylan's regiments. Virginia certainly is able to complete one regiment, and after the scourging she has had, she neglects to do it, she will suffer unpitied in future. Colonel Harrison informs me he has ordered out some officers belonging to the artillery, which are essential to the service here, and that they are detached with you. If they can't be sparred, I beg you will let them come forward without loss of time. I'm afraid my letters to you of the 14th and 16th of May have miscarried, as you make no mention of them, and as the Baron Steuben says he had received none of those dates, though I wrote him by the same opportunity. Enclosed are copies of them. You will please to let me know hereafter whether you received those dispatches, as I wrote Congress and General Washington at the same time. I am, dear Marquis, your most obedient humble servant, Nathaniel Greene. From Anthony Wayne, Camp at Goods Bridge, 22nd July 1781. My dear Marquis, I did myself the honor of writing you from Petersburg the 18th, mentioning the precipitate retreat of Colonel Tarleton towards Portsmouth, since which I have heard of the arrival of a number of transports, but conclude that the enemy can't have shipping sufficient to take their horses on board. Therefore am of opinion that they will operate in this state probably towards the Potomac, either in force or partially sending their horse to Carolina in the latter, or keeping them with the army in the former. In either case, I wish for your orders that I may govern my movements accordingly. I have not heard from Colonel White, nor have we a single horse except the volunteers with General Morgan. I intend to make an easy march towards the forks of the Roanoke the day after tomorrow, unless I receive other orders from you. In Interim, believe me, yours most sincerely, Anthony Wayne. 4 hours deep here. I'm going to take a shower. We'll be back. Maybe I'll do some Buddhist text. I don't know. Magic seems to be the one I think that they want as far as like adversity. It gets kind of boring. You get zoned out. You know what I mean? You get lost in the words and the cards, and it's kind of like, where am I? Whatever comes of that. I guess you're like in a trance almost. I am anyway. I can go back and it's still like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? So I will continue this. That was a good one. I bid you adieu. It's always a pleasure. Your dear and humblest friend,